Hello, everyone. Thank you for clicking on this episode. I know this isn't the midsection, it's very early on, but I wanted to point out a few things before getting this episode underway. As you can see, obviously, this is the Q&A episode. We actually took questions from our audience and answered them live on Twitch, which you can check out in the description below. I may or may not be streaming in the future. It's leaning more towards May. I just have to get things set up on my end, but it could be an interesting thing. We'll play some games and stuff like that. Anyway, we had a Twitch stream previously and answered a bunch of questions that you guys submitted on Twitter and in our Discord, both of which are in the description as well. So that's what this is all about. It's a very long video, as you can see. Very long audio. You can tell this isn't scripted. Anyway, you can check this out. It clears up a lot of details about Arc 2 and provides some more information about some points that we may have not gone into complete detail on. Talk about us as well as a team and talking about the system and other updates and things like that. If you don't want to check this out, that's perfectly fine. That's why this disclaimer is here. I'd recommend checking it out. There's a lot of details that could really help fill in the gaps in the story. Plus, we go over some events that are potentially happening in the future. But again, completely up to you guys. I'll quickly go over the big points though. The biggest one is that there are probably not going to be plot-related episodes in the near future. Not because we haven't recorded them. We've got basically half of Arc 3 done right now, and can't wait to get that story out. I'm personally thinking Arc 3 is the best arc yet, but I personally want to develop some other things, like summary episodes for each of the arcs, which I talked about on the Not a Scratch Twitter, and briefly in other episodes. And other sorts of things like that, behind the scenes stuff, like we're building a website and all that sort of stuff that's sort of in the works. I want to get a lot of that done before going on to Arc 3, so I will warn you guys that you'll still be seeing updates and episodes coming out, but A, it's probably not going to be every Tuesday. You might see multiple episodes a week, and B, it's going to be more about the filling in the gaps, trying to get newer people in an easier manner, because it's a lot easier to listen to one couple-hour summary, I suppose, of the entire arc as opposed to listening to every single episode. Although, again, strongly would recommend doing that. Thinking about it, and I'm going through this on my head, so there's probably a couple of gaps I'm gonna have to cut out here. There's the history book that's going into motion now. I didn't spend a lot of time on it in the past, but I'm really going to dive into it while working on these summary episodes. And finally, just want to mention this. We did start a Patreon just a short while ago, and already have a couple patrons already, which is very surprising. So, with that being said, once Arc 3 comes out, all of those rewards will start to come out. There are a few that might take effect in between now and the beginning of Arc 3, but all of those rewards are really going to start at the introduction of Arc 3, which my rough estimate is probably 2 to 3 weeks from now. Early guess is probably something around that. Again, this is all up in the air, so take everything I say with a grain of salt when it comes to this. But once I get those summary episodes, those big compilations narrowed down and made easier to digest, I suppose, for a viewer, or a listener, sorry, then it can become better and we'll move on from there. So I'm not really sure what I'm talking about at this point, but you guys get the general gist. If you want more information, I'd recommend listening to the entire Q&A episode. It's a very fun listen. The last thing I should mention, because I don't want to forget this, is that all of the music in this episode is produced by GlitchX City. The YouTube channel is fantastic. I would recommend checking her out. She has a bunch of amazing music, and it's really been amazing for the podcast as a whole. So I would recommend checking that out. Without further ado, though, I will dive into the episode. So thank you very much for listening to this. I hope you check out the rest of the episode, and until next time, everyone, take care.
The following podcast is a member of the Pokecasters Network. Pokecasters Network, supporting Pokemon content creators, their shows, and the community of Pokemon fans. To find out more, check out PokecastersNetwork.com or find us on Twitter and Facebook.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Not a Scratch, the only podcast that believes that Scratch is an overpowered move. I am your host, your PM, your DM, your GM, Anirudh himself, and with me here, trying to figure out how exactly I can do so many things on one screen.
It's me, Mansour, and I've got somebody with me whose spirit animal is Mr. Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street.
It's me, Muhammad. Dude was an absolute G, and no one can deny that. Dude was a boss.
There's actually like a whole lot of like really dark history behind Mr. Snuffleupagus, like his entire character, and it's really messed up. But we'll talk about this later.
Yeah, but
But it's actually really funny and really weird.
yeah, but like, dude is still an absolute unit. Can't no one touch him.
Yeah.
Sure. Anyway, hello. Welcome to the Q&A session. If you are listening to this on stream, hello. We are streaming this, by the way. We may or may not do this in the future. I don't know. Q&A episodes aren't exactly common, but here we are. Hello. For the people watching us live. If you're not watching us live, you can always check out the stream link in the description below. You can tell that I'm not used to being live. It's almost like we pre-record everything.
What a concept.
So wild indeed. Normally I'd ask Mansour to go into the history book and start recollecting what happened, but we're not going to do that because
Thank you.
I
Because
have
I
the
need to
history
think
book.
about what happened last episode anyway.
Hey, no spoilers. Those are heavy spoilers if you say
I know
any of that.
I know they're heavy spoilers, but I completely forgot what happened last week, so I have to like study before next time we record. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So this is going to be much more casual from this point on because the podcast episode is just going to be a recap of the whole stream. So we can relax a little bit, though we don't need to relax to the point where you guys are cursing up a storm. So with that said,
Dadgummit.
you're going to hear a
Gonna
bleep
bring
in
out
the
my-
middle there for no reason.
I'm gonna bring out my inner Philip Rivers for this one.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. So for those of you that are listening to us live, you can ask any additional questions that you have in the chat where one of us may or may not see it. By may or may not, we definitely will, but I'm also, again, doing 14 different things on one screen, so I might not be the one to see it. But with that out of the way, I think, unless you guys can think of anything I should probably disclose in advance, we can just go into the questions.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we go into the first question from Just Sven Things. By the way, I'm going to try to use a name that you used either on Discord or on Twitter where you guys left these questions, but hopefully I wrote them down properly and hopefully I pronounced them properly. With that said, Just Sven Things asks, what video game made you the most hype while playing it? This has very little to do with the actual podcast, but also it's more on us. So, yeah, pick a game that made you very hype while playing.
Oh my god. I need a second to think about this.
I mean, in very recent memory, if anyone has played Star Wars Squadrons, that game is phenomenal.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I've only heard about this a few
I-
100,000 times.
I cannot say enough about this game. If you ever dreamed of flying an X-wing, this is the game for you.
Or
I
TIE
will.
Fighter.
Who dreams of flying a TIE fighter?
They're really cool! I've dreamed of flying in a TIE Fighter.
They're-
Poe Dameron says in episode 7, I've always dreamed about flying one of these, or I've always wanted to fly one of these. They're cool.
I'm not going to acknowledge that, and I will stop talking now before I go on a 20-minute tangent about that game.
But yeah, we should play Squadrons more often soon, because I've also played it, and I do highly recommend it as well. I think a game in most recent memory that got me the most absolutely hype, like before I bought it and like when I first bought it, is probably Sea of Thieves. I love that game a lot. It's really fun, filled with action-packed adventure. Just the idea of like being on a boat on the high seas, really fun, and it's way more fun with friends especially. And like when you get into combat with other players, it's intense and crazy, and you're like trying to reload your cannons and fix the ship and like worry about people boarding your ship and stuff like that. And it's just really intense and really fun, and I love it. I haven't played Sea of Thieves in a long time though. So another game that I would also recommend more recently that I've been playing is No Man's Sky. The game was really bad in 2016. The developers did a really good job of making it really, really good over the past couple years. And it's just like especially like the first couple hours of No Man's Sky gameplay, you're just like, this is so cool, and then like it just feels awesome like for the first several hours of gameplay. Then after a while, it gets a little bit like tedious-ish, but it's still really good. And I'm still enjoying it after like 30-something hours and continuing. So those are like my two recent games that I've been like super hype about. Yeah.
Cool. I'm trying to think of games that I've played recently that got me really hype. I'm not sure. I mean, I've been playing a few things on my YouTube channel where those have been fun. I like playing the Detective Grimoire series, if you've been watching that. I like those games. But games that made me very hype, it's kind of hard. Among Us, let's just go with that because I get to talk with friends. Let's go default answer.
Basic.
Slight tangent question, and I'm gonna try and refrain from doing this a lot during like the course of this because I know we have a lot of questions to get to. But I know I've asked you this, asking you again because I haven't asked you in a while. Have you played the Danganronpa games, Anirudh?
I have not, but yeah, you have asked them, and that's on the wish list of things that I ought to play because it's very like dark Ace Attorney.
Yeah. No, it doesn't quite fit with like the general like family friendly content. I feel like you usually do, but I feel like you'd love it.
I mean, yeah,
That's the game. That's the game with like the murderous teddy bear, right? Or...
Sure, that's very oversimplified.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, I'm glad we're excellent. All right. No, I was just because I have the stream up in like 4 different locations and they're all at different points, so it's very funny. Let's see. What is the next question? That would be a good idea. So from Cobalt Gale, did you folks ever expect that your podcast would be received this well?
I'm gonna leave this question for you, Anirudh.
Yeah.
Yes. Next question.
Wow.
I knew there was an audience only because at the bare minimum I was the audience. So I make content. A lot of the content that I make so that I can always go back to it because it bothers me that I can't remember the first time I played through Diamond very well. Like I remember the main Pokemon because I did the normal little kid thing of taking your starter Pokemon, leveling them up to the point of like they're level 80 when everybody else is in their 20s. But just going through that, I don't remember that game as well as I wish I did, and then like future playthroughs, I don't remember as well. So that's a lot of the time the reason why I make whatever I make. I post on the YouTube channel. It's almost like a diary, I guess, of video games. So at the bare minimum, I would have thought it would have been cool, but the fact that other people have joined on is very nice and it's very cool. And I'm glad that we can build a sort of community where everybody can pop together and enjoy the discussions we have about whatever we talk about.
That's a wholesome answer.
I'm a wholesome kid.
Yeah. I don't know. Should I even bother
I'm a
answering
good
this
boy.
question? I feel like we also answered this during the end of Arc 1 Q&A episode or something similar, or at the very least
We might have. So this is as
Slight
good of a time
difference
to
in
point it out.
scale of the community between now and then, but
That's true.
Yeah. No, but
I mean, for me, no. Like I wasn't expecting it to be as as much engagement as as we have now. And it just makes me happy to see people on Discord and talk and submit fan art and like just regular Pokemon art and just talking and hanging out and stuff. It's cool.
cool. Is that all we need?
That's my answer.
Am I obligated to elaborate? Because I feel like you two have kind
Not
of
necessarily.
I mean, like at the very beginning, I said this in the Arc 1 Q&A. I did this as like, oh yeah, let me help my boy Anirudh out. And just kind of having fun with him. So the fact that other people enjoy it and that he enjoys it, they enjoy it, it's enough for me.
Hey, shout out to surprise, we're actually friends outside of the show.
Wild concept.
What?
Yeah, wasn't expecting that, but here we are. Cool. So next question goes to Kane, our good old Trevenant judge.
Yes.
He asks a bit of a long question, so feel free to answer as much as you want in regards to this.
Okay.
If this were a Pokemon podcast in which you were playing as a trainer, what trainer class would you be, and what team of, he says 6, but you can choose as many or as few as you want, would you use?
What would be my team of 6?
That's what his question is, if you want a smaller team because you don't know or don't think you would have.
Dude, you're asking the wrong person. Question.
The first half of that question I have straight away. As far as team, I have no clue. But I think Pokemon contests are sick and underrated, and I would definitely love playing a cool.
Ooh, yes.
As far as my team, I don't know. I'd be very happy just like picking one Pokemon to start, rolling the dice, and getting what I get. Because I feel like if I'm doing a coordinator playthrough, it's very much, oh yeah, like just kind of go with like the Pokemon that come up and utilize them to the best of their ability, play to their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Before I answer the question, I need to ask a question in return. What is a trainer class?
There it is.
Yeah, we should remind everyone that Mansour has not played nearly as much Pokemon as the rest of us,
Yeah.
to the point where
I'm learning a
hasn't.
lot as we do this podcast, but
He's learning
I'm
on the
very
job.
inexperienced.
So in the main series games, for the most part, trainers have specific
In the
classes to
anime.
like designate them, and in the anime as well. They have specific classes to designate like their field, I guess. So instead of giving like a first name, last name for every single character, they'll do a trainer class and then their first name. So there's Fisherman Bob or Ace Trainer Michael or something like that. So you have a general idea of what they're behind. So fishermen generally have water types, probably fish related. Ace trainers are usually like higher leveled or uh, more powerful Pokemon. There's like hikers and other sort of fields. So
Is gym leader a trainer class? I imagine it.
gym
should
leader
be.
is a trainer class. Yeah.
Yeah, leader.
Then I guess I would go with leader, just because like they're cool, and then I would just have 6 of my favorite type, which is probably fighting type. That's probably why I chose Machop to be Ralph, or to be my character for the podcast.
To be my
So,
Ralph.
yeah, so I'd probably be like a fighting type gym leader. That would just be my what I would do. Now, is fighting type the most like what fits with my personality? No, like if I were a Pokemon like as a person, I feel like my personality most aligns with like I'm actually not sure. Maybe I don't know.
a poison type because he's toxic.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not toxic. I don't know what my type would be. I feel like it would be ground. That's probably like my
Nope.
Okay, guess I'm not ground type.
You're
Way
not
too-
rejected.
You're way too
Yeah.
energetic.
Maybe I'm grass type then? Maybe I am fighting type. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I'm gonna think about that and get back to you. But I can tell you
Okay.
right now, you are not a rock type. You are not a ground type. You are, you're not a water type. You're not a grass type. I can tell you that much
Okay.
right off the bat.
Maybe I'm a
you-
fire type.
You're not a. You're probably a fire type.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
But in any case, I'd be a
yeah,
fighting type gym leader.
Okay, Muhammad.
I mean, I kind of already answered this question. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's you.
What type? What would it be? Ooh, well, when playing through the games, the Ranger, either Ranger or Ace Trainer were always really interesting to me.
Don't Ace trainers play normal types?
No, they're usually like Psychic and Dragon, just a wide variety, wide variety.
Right. I must be thinking of something different.
Yeah. And then my
Yeah, I
team
can
of
see.
6. Ooh, my team would probably. All right, so it's gotta have Swampert. It's gotta have Wigglytuff. I'm trying to think what else is there. Gardevoir's really up there on my list. Skarmory. There's a lot of Gen 3 stuff, and then Skarmory.
My
but-
guy.
a few others. I did at one point have a like I knew what my top 6 Pokemon were, but now I'm not 100% sure. Somewhere around there.
Yeah, the thing is, every time I've thought about a 6 Pokemon team, it's been the context of like trainer battle.
Mhm.
But like if I'm playing as a coordinator, it's very different.
Yep. All right, cool. So let us go. Next question is sort of similar. So Ginny, our fan favorite Ginny, would asks us, what would your stats be if we were a Pokemon in Mystery Dungeon? So I'm going to slightly modify this to say, instead of being like a specific Pokemon, because each Pokemon has different stats. In our system, we have the whole Strength modifier, Dexterity modifier, blah blah blah. So assume we just tossed into this world. Regardless of what type you are, that's irrelevant. What stat do you think you would have a +2? What stat would be a +1? What stat would be a -1? And then which ones are zeros?
So 1
That is a
plus
good
2, 1
question.
plus 1, 0, 0, -1.
Yep.
Across smart, cool, cute, tough, cutie.
I would you get 1 plus 2, 1 plus 1, right? And then a minus.
Yep.
1.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'll give myself a +2 to smart, just because me big brain. I would probably give myself a +1 to cute as well. But definitely -1 to beauty, because I don't have any wisdom or insight or ability to notice things. This is like Ralph is kind of close to my character. Tough, but yeah, like tough and cool are just like 0 and just flat.
See, I think my answers are like almost kind of flipped. Like +2 smart because big brain, yeah. But then I think I'd probably give myself +1 beauty and then -1 probably to cute. If I'm being
I
honest.
think you're cute, Mohammed.
Oh.
Oh boy, that's great.
And that's where the fan fiction started.
Oh great, here we go.
Why did you say that? Why?
It's
Why?
gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You can't. People will make fan fiction.
No. Listen. Characters, that's fine. Like the whole Ralph Kyle ship, that's fine. Leave me as a player out of it, okay? I have no business with this.
This is a real. Actually, this is a real thing. Please, like, this is a general thing. Please don't ship like actual real life people because that will severely
Just in general,
affect,
yes.
like,
Please don't do that.
their actual lives and relationships with everyone, like friends, family, actual romantic relationships. Just don't ship people in real life. It's messed up. But characters, do whatever you want because they're not real.
There we go. Okay, I was fiddling around with the music, audio, and stuff like that.
What's your stat block looking like, big man?
Mine is one of the tough. I know that. That's easy. Let's see. I'm going to say +1 cute, +2 beauty. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
He's downplaying his absurdly massive brain.
I think Rigel.
I don't think it's
chat,
a- I don't think I-
he
I
said
don't
it's
think I'm
okay to ship
particularly
historical
smart.
figures, and I think that's really funny.
Oh man, we could have a whole different discussion about that. I'm scared.
George Washington x Genghis Khan. Romance.
No.
Whoa, we're crossing like thousands of years in the timeline for this one. Oh,
That's the best part. You can ship people from different eras of history. Oh, I find that really funny.
I don't know how I feel about that one though.
no. Also, I said thousands. I meant hundreds. I bet
Hundreds and thousands and
Americans
billions.
learn history.
trillions
I
of
swear.
That's what they tell us at least. No, I just realized it set up something that isn't important. Anyway, that's probably my guess, at least for the stats from that perspective. Cool. Next question comes from Kira1, and they ask, how do Kyle and Ralph feel about evolving? Any anxiety over the possibility, or is this something that just happens? Would they seek to stop the change if they could? Now, we touched on this, like, episode 1 of Arc 1 or something like that. There was a brief discussion about this, but
I think it was
I'm
even
I'm
Arc
curious what you
Zero.
guys think.
Yeah.
Was it Arc 0? It might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely Arc Zero.
Yeah, no,
So-
like, this is something we addressed really early on, but also it's been how long
month.
into their journey now?
It's 3
A
weeks.
month into the journey, almost a year
Somewhere
into
around there.
our journey.
Well, yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
saying in
that's
terms of like thinking about Kyle's character growth. 'Cause Kyle's done a lot of growing up.
That's true.
He's a big kid now.
I think Ralph's mindset on evolving hasn't really changed. I think he definitely still wants to evolve if he's given the option. Very excited to grow up. Very excited to get bigger, stronger, beefier with more arms as a Machamp. But yeah, I don't think that's changed too much. I don't know how Kyle feels about it.
I think Kyle's whole mindset at this point in the series, since he's still got that laser focus, is it gonna help me? Cool, great. If not, whack.
Do I get stats? That's, yeah.
No, like I feel like at this point, like all of Kyle's like trepidations about growing up are just gone. Like
Dang.
he's kind of just like compartmentalized them, put them away, and been like, all right, time to grow up, time to do things.
Wow, he put on his big boy shoes.
Kind of did.
Or big boy pants. That's the phrase. But yeah. Wow.
It's a little Trico that's like literally a foot tall, walking around with size 12s.
We call those clown shoes, Mom. But still. Yeah, that's it. And then that's basically like the update. I think Ralph hasn't changed too much, and Kyle kind of doesn't care anymore. But that's how I feel about evolving as of right now.
Cool.
Next question.
Next question goes to, who did we go to? Ginny. Actually, she asked a few questions about this, which is actually something interesting to think about. So
I would expect
overall
no less
throughout-
from our first Patreon
yes.
Patron.
patron. Sorry.
So Ginny asks, in this arc, Ralph took another big head start on Kyle in power and experience. How did both of you as players feel about that when it was happening, and how do you feel about it now?
Oh boy. Do you want to answer? Do you want to go, Mohammed, or should I go first?
I mean, I can kind of go first.
Okay.
In the moment, whack. Like it
Straight up
it-
whack.
No, as a player, it is a little frustrating when like your character isn't quite strong enough and the other character is only getting stronger, so the bar is only getting higher. But on the flip side, Kyle can hold his own, so like I'm chilling. Plus, also like outside of battle, like Kyle is clearly the superior character. So
Oh, excuse. We'll let the fans decide that one.
Listen, I said it. I said it.
So on one hand, because this has been the whole thing with like, because Ralph is constantly pushing the boundaries of the of this system that we've made, right? You know, in Arc 1 and for most of Arc 2, the power band has just been like beefing him up even more, and he's getting more XP, and he's got a couple levels on Kyle and that sort of thing. So my human side is very like kind of upset because like I was like I feel like I'm gaming the system. Like I feel like it almost feels like I'm metagaming even though I'm not, right? Like, but the fact that I'm pulling ahead of Kyle is a little bit like, oh man, like that kind of sucks. And I feel bad for Anirudh too because like I feel like I'm making his life harder. But also like just in the moment, my inner gamer was just like, yes, more levels, perfect. But
will it make you feel better if we remind you that this is technically a playtest?
Oh, that's true. This is technically a playtest. But anyway,
this is just a very, very long playtest.
But also, like, even though Ralph has a couple levels over Kyle and stuff, like, it doesn't make that much of a difference. I feel like.
Oh, whoa!
Maybe. I mean, because here's the thing. Like,
talk to me when Ralph almost gets one hit knocked out.
It's happened before, but
listen. I don't want to know this. Okay?
I don't remember if this is in Arc 2 or in Arc 3, and I hope I'm not bringing major.
What you're thinking of is probably in Arc 3, and it's probably a spoiler. How major, I don't know.
Okay. I'll shut up. I won't say anything more.
I say this because I was about to, like, in that last little spiel, I was gonna give an Arc 3 spoiler, and then I was like, wait, no, never mind. They haven't seen that yet.
Never mind. But anyway, I feel like on paper it looks bad, but in reality, it's not the end of the world if Kyle is 2 levels behind Ralph.
Easy for you to say.
Easy. I am thinking about a specific moment in Arc 3 now that I mentioned that.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Okay, we know what we're talking about, and it's pretty early on, I think, in the arc. So
it's a few episodes in.
It's a few episodes in, but it'll be you'll know when you hear it. But it's yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Stay tuned for Arc 3 to figure out what the heck we're talking about. But yeah.
Spoilers, it's probably not great. What's happening right now? I mean, not Arc 3. Arc 3, I think, has been the best arc yet. And I'm saying this both, A, to make sure that you guys listen, and B, because I actually think it's been a really good arc so far.
It has been. Can't go wrong.
Good arc. I like it.
Cool. As a GM, I think it's an interesting sort of situation, because it does follow the games in the sense that like certain Pokemon in the games will level up faster. Now, our system doesn't have a dynamic level up system where certain Pokemon level up faster than others, but it does have that sort of situation of where certain Pokemon are growing up quicker, and so you'll sometimes see like a level or 2 difference. But of course, in game, they're not going to be like, "Hey, I kind of feel bad that I'm going too high" or something like that, because you're controlling everybody. So it's an interesting situation.
Yeah, and that's like, or keep going if you're not.
No, that's pretty much it. I think.
Okay. It's like that's also like a general thing with like TTRPGs is do you do leveling up by an XP system or you do it by a milestone system? Like from my days of playing D&D, which I really should go back to because I really miss D&D. But the 2 ways that D&D DMs will run their campaigns is either the players level up by milestones, so like you beat this boss or you reach this story point, and then you get what is it called?
You just level.
And you just level up, and everybody levels up at the same time. Or you actually have to calculate how much XP there is per enemy that you defeat, or maybe for certain objectives you get certain XP, an amount of XP, or some items will give you more XP. And each of those has their pros and cons, right? Like the pros of a milestone system is everyone's on the same page. You don't have to worry about doing the math of how much XP certain enemies give. As a DM, you don't have to worry about like how much XP, how quickly am I leveling up the players? It could feel a lot less grindy. But if you're doing the XP system, it is kind of more realistic in the sense that like you will have character, like this is like, that's how, I mean, quote unquote real life works. Is like you'll have some people who are more experienced and some people who are less experienced. Some people will be more powerful, some people will be less powerful, and it's kind of the players or the party's job to figure out like where to cover the weaknesses and play to everyone's strengths. So
I'm sorry, when
it's
you
part
said
of like a
real life,
broader
I
thing.
didn't realize you spent your weekends as a druid. Good to know.
What?
Never mind. I was making joke. If it went
I've
over your
I've
head,
actually never played a druid yet. I kind of want to try that at some point. I've played a monk. I played a barbarian. I've played a paladin. I've played a sorcerer.
You definitely spend your weekends as a barbarian,
That's
just
a dig on me,
rampaging
isn't it?
around,
Okay.
just rage.
Rage.
Okay. Next question comes from FaZe. FaZe asks, if you were to have, so ask this to me, but I guess I'll give this to you guys. If you guys, Mohammed Mansour, you could be any other Pokemon than you currently are, which ones would you pick
For the podcast or like
for
in
the
real life?
podcast? Yeah.
Okay.
No, in real life, you guys are Pokemon right now.
I actually made a joke about this in a recent recording session.
Yeah. I don't remember which one you chose though.
It was Lotad. I was like,
Lotad,
wow.
that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yes.
I was like, wow, I totally could have been a Lotad. That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But like, actually though, no. Trying to think which Pokemon would be like, because the stipulation was basically like a non-evolved Pokemon, like a basic Pokemon.
Yeah, it was a basic Pokemon that wasn't a god.
Yeah, no
To some-
legendary or mythical, just a basic Pokemon. And from there, you had your like pick of the lot. I feel like playing a bird Pokemon would have been very interesting.
That's cool.
Like if I'd have picked like a Tailo or a Starly, that could have been an interesting pick.
Yeah.
Also, there are some Pokemon that just like that never evolve. So like if I had picked like a Pinsir or a Taurus or something, right?
Mm.
That could have, or like a Skarmory. I could have picked one of those. Would have been a very different show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment.
Oh, I also should point out that currently in stream, one of the Nightbot things add Ralph mom quotes, which are mentioned in the
Aw.
Discord. So randomly, Nightbot should be tossing out mom
Yeah,
quotes.
I just saw that. Yeah, it is best to be.
All of the ones that are in the
the. That's really good.
the database are from the Discord itself, and
Yeah.
over time I'll probably add in-show ones, but that requires me to listen to the entire show again.
That's really cool. I have a couple answers
Yes,
for this.
yeah.
So it's like in terms of Pokemon, what kind of character do I want to play? I think a really like challenging Pokemon to play, which would be really interesting, would be like trying to play something like a Diglett or not Diglett, a Doug Trio or like a Doduo or like an Execute, where there's like multiple heads. And at that point, I'll be playing like 3 or 4 or 5 characters at once. You know what I'm saying?
You couldn't pick a Doug Trio at the start.
Yeah, because it's the evolved form. But you know, Execute is the basic form, right?
Yeah,
or
and
Doduo.
Doduo, yeah.
Yeah, picking something like that where there's like multiple heads would be really interesting because I could play like 2 characters and like bounce off of each other and stuff like that. That would be really cool.
The podcast could have just been us being 2 heads of the same Doduo.
That that's actually a really good idea. I like that.
That would have been
But-
awful to play.
It would be awful to play, but it would be kind of fun.
Because either like we'd have to trade off control or we'd have to agree on every decision.
Yeah, although that there's a
Battle
question of,
would have
like-
been a nightmare.
Yeah. But anyway, that's one idea. I think if like I probably wouldn't do that realistically. I think if I were to play like if hypothetically like if I was going off of like a D&D system where like when your character dies you make a new one. If Ralph were to die, which I hope he never does, but if Ralph were to die or faint permanently, I guess in this podcast, I would probably go with something. Probably go with like a rock type. Or actually no. That's actually really hard. I had one in mind, but I just couldn't. Might go with like a Geodude. I think Geodude's really cool. But I'd want him to sort of be like this sort of like gentle giant type character, where he's just like
Geodude's not that big.
he's not that big, but like you know he looks like he's down to like he looks like he's scary, but in reality he's just like, how was your day today? Like that kind of thing. Yeah, so I'd probably go with like Geodude. I think Geodude's really cool. Yeah, so maybe playing like a ghost or like a dark type might be cool, like a sort of character that's like kind of evil, but one could argue that Ralph's already a little bit evil, given his Arc 2 shenanigans. But yeah, something like a Spiritomb actually might be really cool, like just playing like a really ghostly, scary character.
I actually never remember. Is Spiritomb considered a mythical
I don't
I
think so.
don't-
or legendary?
Well, it's not
I don't-
legendary. Mythical, I don't remember if it is or not.
Is Spiritomb a mythical? I'm gonna look this up right now.
Gentle Giant
No.
Geodude. Oh my
Wait,
gosh.
it's not
that's-
legendary.
That's a perfect alliteration. It might not be. I think it's just it might be one of those that's just extremely hard to get Pokemon. Lindsay, that's
Yeah.
an amazing name.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's not mythical or legendary. He's just like exclusive. And I think before they introduced the fairy type, he was like kind of broken because he had no weaknesses. I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It was them and Sableye.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where are we currently? Okay. So next question. Aristotle asks, as far as questions are concerned, this one is focused on Anirudh, the GM and primary creator of the system, but I'd also like to hear from the first two playtesters, Mohammed and Mansour, on their experience as a player. How do you think the system is turning out, and do you think it might become a publicly released system further down the line for people to make their own PMD campaigns?
Say the
Did
question
you
one
want
more
to
time.
kick it off?
What's up?
I asked, did you want to kick it off?
And I asked
Oh,
to read
sure,
the question one more time because I forgot most of it as you were reading.
Okay, we'll go piece by piece. How do you think the system is turning out?
Read the whole thing. I don't want to just give like one word answers for each piece.
No, most of it is just a preamble, I guess.
Yeah. The gist of the question is, how do you think the system is turning out? Will it be released potentially?
Oh, yeah, okay. This is a question. I think Andrew should answer first, just because you made the system. So.
Oh, okay. How do I think it's turning out? Pretty good. It's pretty solid. Not too many power band issues. And we got that relatively quickly. So, from that perspective, I think it's going pretty well. Experience is more of a thing that I just kind of did quickly, which is why it's kind of off balance, and that might go to some people's benefit. They might prefer off balance experience or not. It's not too far apart right now, to the point where it's not like Ralph is level 40 and Kyle's level 10, right? So
Not yet.
yeah.
That's-
So so from that perspective, it's pretty solid. And let's see. And do you think it might become a publicly released system? Yes, I do think so. In fact, there's something available right now that you may or may not have heard. One of our Patreon goals, by the way, we have a Patreon if you'd like to support us. There's links always in the episode descriptions. I'll actually post the link in stream for those of you that are interested in checking it out. If I spelled it right, or it's up top actually. But yeah, but one of the end goals for that is if we can raise enough money to actually make like a PDF system, like an official thing. Think of like Pokemon 5e or Dungeons and Dragons normal, the regular big thing, those type of handbook type things. So that is a goal for the show that we would like to potentially do. So your answer is yes, and I know that is different than what the answer was at the end of Arc 1, because I think at the end of Arc 1 it was maybe probably leaning no.
Yeah.
Now it is yes, if I can afford it.
That's true.
But there you go, yeah. So if you guys want to answer either part of those.
Yeah, I think the system's working pretty well so far as a player. It definitely isn't super complicated, although to be fair, I think Anirudh is doing a lot of like the numbers work of like, managing moves and power and damage levels and all that, or power levels and damage and all that fun stuff. So I feel kind of bad for him every time I use low kick because he has to look up the weight of the Pokemon that I'm fighting, and then he has to look up what the corresponding power level is at that point.
I mean, there's an easier way to do it that I just haven't done. I could probably just have like a separate sheet of like, here's all the variable stuff, but I don't do that.
That's true, and I assume if you were to put it like into a book, you could just literally just do like a little table, like, if
Yeah,
the
exactly.
if the weight of the Pokemon is from here to here, power level bot, and so on.
I mean, that's literally what Anirudh does right now. He takes weight of Pokemon, looks at table to get power base, then goes to the damage chart and goes power base to dice.
That yeah.
It's
But
literally
you can
what he
make
does right
one.
now.
You can make one big table that like puts it all together. But anyway,
Yeah.
And the other cool thing is too is like with any TTRPG system, like if you don't like the way that the system does something, you could always change it. You can do like homebrew rules, right? Again, like from when I've played D&D, very often like D&D technically has rules on like limits on how much a character can carry and all that fun, and like inventory space and the weight of everything, and it's like no one keeps track of that because
You play with unlimited arrows? Disgusting!
How
what
dare
I would
do
more like what I'm
something.
more likely to do is if I wanted to give an element of like realism, what I might say is like you have a quiver and your quiver can only hold this many arrows. But I'm not gonna worry about like, oh, you're carrying too much food or whatever. Like that to me is just
Whack.
it takes the fun out of it. But again,
Whack.
it that's the point. It varies from party to party, from DM to DM. Like it's whatever you want it to be. Yeah, like if you want to start making up your own moves with your own power levels and whatever, like by all means go ahead. Which I think is just the strength of TTRPGs in general. It's just like if you don't like the way it is, you could do it differently, or you can add your own stuff. That's the beauty of it. So
Well said.
but overall, I think it's a good system and it's not too hard to learn and grasp and understand. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the only thing I
Mohammed.
have to add is there's a lot of, I mean, as you've seen throughout, our playthrough, there's a lot of mechanical issues that like I helped Anirudh like kind of just go through the system like real quick and proof it before we started playing. There's a lot of things I didn't think about that you don't think about until you start playing. So
power band.
yeah, no, stuff like that. Stuff like experience, and there's other stuff that's like included that we haven't even touched yet. Like none of us have tried like any sort of recruitment mechanics and tried to do that. We haven't used IQ skills much. So there's
We
definitely
haven't
probably,
touched evolution yet. Like
yeah. So like there's stuff that will definitely come up that we'll need to fix. And like kind of iron out before releasing the system ideally. But I mean, for the most part, it plays pretty smoothly.
coming to a Target near you, hopefully.
Yeah, we're gonna sell this at Target.
You can buy the D&D Player's Handbook at Target.
You can, but also D&D is popular, and this
That's
is
true.
made up.
Hey, shoot for the moon. Don't settle for mediocrity. But anyway.
Well said. I don't know where we are in the... Okay, so we got time. Let's see. Next question. Where are we? Fuego asks, overall, I guess the overall question is, how come Ralph didn't get more levels? I think this is sarcastic.
You wanted to have more levels? Why? This is the problem. Is this like related to the? This is spoilers for Arc 2. If you haven't listened to Arc 2, cover your ears.
The whole thing is spoilers for Arc 2, though.
I'm aware, but like, are you referring to like the like when Ralph like knocks out the Pyroar? Like why didn't he get way more XP? For
It was either the Pyroar or the Executor. Either one of those battles. Why didn't you gain significantly more experience?
Because it would be broken. Like, I don't know. That's a question. I'm okay with where I'm at right now, like in terms of power, but
yeah, no, I think it's just the formula spit out a number, we gave it to him, and the result was what you saw. So
yeah, I'm honestly happy that I didn't gain way more levels, because then that would probably mean that Anirudh would be like, you're too powerful. You know what? Ralph is gonna have minus 15 tough for the rest of the campaign. Like, I don't want to do it.
I feel like instead what would happen is just enemies would be up at Ralph's level and Kyle would be like, oh, okay, this is happening.
You deal with that, honey. So.
Let's see. Next question actually touches a bit on what we've done before. I guess for you two, if you guys want to change your answer, you can. If you could be a player in this world, what Pokemon would you be? I think this is more geared towards me, but would you guys, if you were to wake up tomorrow and be a Pokemon, would you guys want to be a Machop and a Trico, or?
I don't think I'd want to be a Machop, because no.
Because no.
If I were to be a Pokemon, any Pokemon, like, does it have to be the first?
This is very tangential from the original question. I'd just like to point that out.
Can I be evolved? Is the question? Is the question?
You can be
Like, is this
whatever you
allowed?
want to be in this case.
Amazing.
I'd like to be Arceus. Thank you.
That was gonna be my answer.
I would. I don't know. I feel like I would pick. I'm not a furry, but I would pick Eevee.
Why did you preface it with that?
Yeah, why did
no
you
one was
need
thinking
to-
that.
I was thinking that, so I had to stop myself from thinking that.
Sure. Okay.
All right, so we've exposed something we didn't think we'd be exposing during this Q&A, but
I'm not. I said I'm not a furry.
Listen, when you get defensive about
boy.
something unprompted,
This is the type of stuff that I would cut out from the episode.
No, I'm sorry, but no, I have like a little. What are they called? like the
Stop! Stop!
No, no,
Just
no,
stop!
no, no.
Just stop!
No.
Just stop digging the hole!
No, I'm not digging a hole.
I'm trying to save you for once.
No, it's fine. Let me explain. What are they called? Like the little like they're not action figures. They're like little
Mannequins?
They're not plushies. Yeah, they're like little mannequins and they come in like the box. What are they called? Like Pop
Yeah.
or something? I have one of Eevee and
Oh, the
it's
Funko
on
Pops.
my desk. And I was like, yeah, Funko Pops, yes. And I have one of those on my desk. And like if I were to wake up tomorrow and be an Eevee, I was like, this would be cool. Like he looks really cute. I like him. Be dope. Also,
No,
possibilities are endless in terms of like what type I can evolve into. So why not? I have Umbreon as my background on my phone screen. Like I could become an Umbreon. I could also become a Flareon. Who knows?
Sure.
Unlimited.
I mean, well, there are ways to, very deterministically choose what you evolve into. It's not a random thing.
Well, yeah, you pick the stone, but yeah. Still, I get the choice, basically.
Muhammad?
I don't know. Hard to wake up. What Pokemon would be cool to be for a day? How about like Latios or Latias? I feel like
That's
that'd be fun.
cool.
That'd be
I
fun
like
to be one of those for a day.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I used to have a Latios Pokemon card, and he had one move that had like 120 attack, and I would just keep spamming it because I didn't know how the energy system worked, and no one did. So
Yeah.
it was fun.
If at your school you didn't play by the actual Pokemon TCG rules, we weren't playing right.
I mean, definitionally yes, but also no one. I don't think there's a single person.
We were playing competitive in 6th grade. Like,
Wow.
don't talk to me. I still play the TCG online sometimes. Don't talk.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, that's one of those things that
when Pokemon was big at my school, it was like 3rd grade, and we would just make stuff up. Like I'm sure there were some people that were playing with the energy cards and everything, but like the way that me and my friends would play, it would just be like. There was this one kid who would constantly like, okay, I use this move, and then they would move their card to the side and be like, dodge, and it was the most infuriating thing because my 8-year-old brain was like, that's flawless logic. He's gonna beat me every time because he keeps dodging. Oh. But anyway,
Anirudh, if you were a player, let's get back to the original question. Anirudh, if you were a player,
yes.
Which Pokemon would you choose to play? If you're a player in the
surprisingly, my answer is not anything in the Wigglytuff line. So
wow.
Has to be basic Pokemon. Fine, Igglybuff.
No, I don't think. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a Pokemon that I would enjoy being.
I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have the most fun when you're playing Caracosta, like Carlos Costa.
Yeah, of the characters that we've developed in story. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe you do want to be Caracosta.
I don't know.
Why do I see you having a lot of fun as a Palpitoad?
A Palpitoad.
Why do I see it? Tell me why.
That's
the
most random Pokemon.
So I could stay relevant. Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
Or a Seismitoad. I could see him having fun with that. He likes swamp.
I think because I really enjoy the Ralts line as a whole. Like I like Gardevoir from Gen 3 games. I think Gallade has an awesome design. So maybe Ralts, I think.
Yeah.
So you would play Susie.
I would be Susie. I relate to Susie so much. Let's see. We are about a third of the way through or something. Anywhere between the third and a halfway through. Okay. So Mr. Boss. It's Boss with an E at the end. To this day I don't know how to pronounce it, and I've known you for a bit. Bosse. How did you discover the personality that you were going to adopt your Kyle and Ralph into, and how has it changed since Arc Zero?
Ooh, that's a good question. We kind of talked about this during the Arc 1 Q&A, but I could elaborate a little bit more since then. I started, like, when I was making the character, I started with the personality. I started with what character do I want to play, and then I just picked a Pokemon that I think fit that. So I wanted to play this like young, like super optimistic, not incredibly intelligent. Like I think I usually always operate by voice, so I also started with like the voice, so his voice would be like, haha, yeah, like that was basically what I thought of. And so I started with that, and then I was like, I think Machop fits this vibe really well. And since then, I think his character is definitely matured a little bit since Arc Zero. He's definitely realizing that he can't just run headfirst into every situation and it was all gonna work out. He's also had his fair share of like being framed and his best friend not wanting to talk to him for a couple episodes, and realizing that like things are more important. Like he can't just treat everything like it's just like a fun, happy adventure. Like there's actually serious stuff going on in the world. But I think overall he still does retain that sort of like optimistic-ish spirit. I think he's grown like a little bit more sassy and snarky since Arc Zero. Maybe he picked that up from Kyle. I don't know. Yeah. And oh, the other thing is that he's been getting like more and more frustrated with like all the cryptic mystery elements of the story. He's like, why doesn't anyone just clear with anything anymore? Everything's a stupid riddle. But yeah, like that's pretty much how Kyle's character, not Kyle, Ralph. Oh my God, this keeps happening. How Ralph's character has evolved since its inception to now.
As far as Kyle goes, again, touched on this last Q&A, but when we were developing characters, Mansour had a very strong idea of like, you know, what Ralph's personality was. And so I said, okay, and pretty much chose something completely different for the sake of like, you know, not playing the same character. And so that's why Kyle kind of started out as this super quiet, super reserved, super, what's the word I'm looking for? Not anxious, not quite on edge, but like very cautious character. Kind of started out in that vein, and then as like, you know, things went on through Arc 1 and through Arc 2, Kyle's very much turned into a kind of like a silent leader type of just like, all right, like I'm gonna put my head down, put in the work, take charge when I need to. A lot more confident as the series has gone on. Trying to think of what other aspects Kyle has grown. Kyle has almost become determined to a fault. That's a very good way of putting that. Yeah, I think.
Do you know what I just realized? I'm sorry to cut you off, but you know what I just realized? That I really badly, like by the end of this entire story, I really like in my head the perfect happy ending for Kyle is to become a guild leader. Like the entirety of all these arcs and all these story elements, and after you know they saved the world and whatnot, like Kyle would have grown from this like shy kid who draws stuff with his stick in the ground, doesn't really want to talk to anybody, and is like unsure of himself, all the way to like becoming a guild leader and like saving Pokemon and running missions and stuff like that. Yeah, that to me it's a pretty sounds like the best character arc that I can think of, but who knows? But I just the thought of that was really nice.
It's a pretty solid, pretty cookie cutter protagonist character arc. I could get behind it.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go into the chat real quick because these are relatively quicker questions.
While you do this, I'm going to grab a snack. I
Cool.
will be muted for a little second.
Sure.
Okay.
So Mansour, since you've played the TCG, at least in the sense of you've had cards in the past,
yeah.
Rigel asks, did any one of you at any point collect Pokemon cards? And if so, did you have some cards with tweaked numbers like 650 health Meganium?
Yeah. So I collected
like those fake cards, basically.
Yeah, I collected cards from basically like between like 2nd and 4th grade. It was mostly 3rd grade. It was when I was collecting cards. I don't think I had any of like the absurd like fake ones. Because I would buy them from like a local store, and like they came in like an actual like pack, and it looked pretty legit. The cards that I remember the most, I had a Houndoom that I really liked. I had a Latios with the 120 attack that I really liked. At one point, I got my hands on a Mesprit, and it was like level X or whatever, or like the X, I don't know what is it. I have to look up the card.
Yeah, no, I know
always do this like every
level X.
Yeah.
I had it right here. Your level X.
Yeah. Mesprit Pokemon card level X. I just want to remember like what the card looked like. Yeah, this is exactly the card that I had. I had Mesprit level X, and it had like a 200 attack move, which I thought was like, wow, it was crazy. I think I also had what's Turtwig's final? Yeah, Torterra. I'm pretty sure I also had Torterra level X. which was one of my favorite cards that I had. I had a Wheezing that I just liked because it was Wheezing. I had a Geodude, which is part of the reason why, like, you know, I kind of like Geodude is because he's in my childhood. Those are some of the ones I remember. My brother also collected some. He had I think his best card they'd ever had was a Grovyle. He also had like a Tangela. He had a couple, but I would always quote unquote beat him because we were not playing by actual rules, but I had better cards than he did, mostly just because I had more cards than he did. But yeah.
Am I answering this question too? What is the question? I wasn't here for the question.
Sure. The question is, did you have, when you were collecting cards? Hold up, let me get back. Did you collect cards at any point? And if you did you ever have those quote unquote tweaked cards? So the fake cards with like 650 health Meganiums and random modified things like that.
I never really collected, so I never had any, and I never had like any tweak cards. I just got like one box set, and then like a couple of booster packs here and there, but that was it.
Oh yeah, I also had a Wailord that had like 200 HP.
Yes.
Which I think is normal.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I think I have that card. So I right now, I don't know why they're here because I don't actually use them, but in, I want to say it was like 4th grade-ish, I was collecting Pokemon cards, so I would buy like starter decks and then some random stuff like that. A friend gave his collection because he was done with it, and I was very excited about that. So that was happening in 4th grade, and during college I got into Yu-Gi-Oh, and so I started collecting those as well. So literally underneath this whole desk setup, I have all of my cards and some unopened packs and stuff like that. But I'm looking at them right now. Like I have a very fake Fiona. I have multiple very fake Pikachus, fake Magnemite, fake Voltorb, other things like that. Because I have them sorted by type for some reason. But I have cool things as well because I have like a where is it? I have like Brock's Onyx from the early set. I have a Machop from first set. They're not very good condition, but I have a few of those older ones. I have a regular Onyx from an older set, among other things. So they're probably like PSA grade -4, but things like that. So I might actually, if I might take pictures of them and toss them in our Discord or something like that in case I find anything like really interesting. But yeah, so I collect things in the past. MM Overlord, I will get to your question regarding campaign events later because there's a question similar to that. So we will go back into our list here. Scott asks, here's a question. How are you today?
Oh, thanks for asking.
You're just not going to answer? That's it?
I'm thinking.
Wait, you're thinking how you're doing today?
I'm doing okay. I've got a bunch of like work that I got to catch up on later today, but I'm putting that off. I'm doing all right. Do a very chill Saturday. It's like a pretty lazy afternoon. That's kind of the vibe. But I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking, Scott.
I don't know if this got picked up earlier, but I said with a mouthful of Pop-Tart, I'm hungry.
And I am. How am I doing today? I'm streaming today. I don't know if that's a feeling, but that's a thing. I'm streaming. We've been streaming for about an hour and 15 minutes, and my computer has not blown up on me. So this is a sign.
How are you doing today? Not what are you doing today?
How am I doing? I am streaming. How are you?
Streaming is an emotion.
I disagree.
Okay, I am excited because we've been streaming for about an hour and a quarter, and my computer has not blown up on me, which is a sign that it's able to handle it.
Good.
This is all assuming, of course, that the audience is still able to hear all of us, which
I think they are.
You know,
we've been talking to the void this whole time. Surprise.
That's hilarious.
If they weren't able to hear us, someone would have said in chat by now. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But
Let's
if the
see.
stream went down, they couldn't say it in chat.
Oh no!
Big brain / small brain / medium brain. Let me see. So Raven asks an interesting question, and we might actually make that a thing at the very end. So their question is 2-parted. So there's what other Pokemon would you be if you had to choose, which we sort of answered before, and then what Pokemon were you assigned in the PMD games? So that of course depended on if you played the games, which I know Mansour hasn't, and then. Mohammed, I think you played the first one a while ago or something.
I started the first one a couple times and never finished it. What did I get assigned? I know at one point I got assigned Trico because I was gassed about that. I got assigned Bulbasaur. I think at one point I might have gotten Squirtle too.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Of the times since I've taken the test legitimately, I've gotten, because I usually just rig it to give myself Mudkip because
Of course.
duh. I had the very first time I played, I got Bulbasaur. I know that.
Bulbasaur gang.
Yes, I think. Let's see, Bulbasaur. I think I honestly got. No, that's probably not right. I don't remember for Sky what I first got, but I remember starting a playthrough on the YouTube channel that I didn't finish, where I did that legitimately, and I ended up getting Machop as my starter. Which I find very funny. I had my partner be Squirtle, and I remember because I gave them the nickname Bond because Squirtle is number 7 in the Pokedex.
Ash's Squirtle has big Bond energy.
Very true, yeah. Let's see. We might actually do that as maybe a mini episode or like a filler thing of having you guys take the quiz and see what you guys get or something like that. Because it'll be pretty long to do both of you guys and us as well. All 3 of us. I don't know why that was so hard to count, but
bonus content.
Because I also should point this out. For those of you listening to this, the Q&A episode today, it's probably coming out Tuesday the whatever. What is it? Tuesday the 23rd. But there will be a semi-hiatus, not of the podcast itself, because episodes will still come out somewhat regularly, but hiatus from the actual story thing itself, because I want to work on those summary episodes that I posted on Twitter about. It seems like there's like 70% of the people that responded were at least intrigued in us making summary episodes, so I'm probably just gonna toss that in there, sort of summarizing each of the arcs and then publishing that, so that people that want to join can check that out instead of having to go through everything. Again, this is sort of up in the air. I'm working on this, but stuff. So let us see. Where am I in questions? So Jess Fun Things asks, don't know if this was asked before. It was not. If you were sent to the world of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, what would you do? So what are your career plans?
Panic.
Big panic energy.
Like imagine like waking up and you're not a human. Like that is mind-boggling. I would panic.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean,
also, it's not like you wake up like in the Mystery Dungeon games, right? It's not like you wake up like in like a bed or in like a building or something where it's like, yes, civilization. You wake up in the middle of a forest. You wake up in the middle of a forest, and you went to sleep and you were a human, and you wake up and you're a Pokemon, and you're like, wait a second, what is happening? And then a Pokemon comes up, starts talking to you. You don't realize you're a Pokemon yet. And you're like, why is this Pokemon talking to me? Why can't I understand this Pokemon? Why am I at eye level with this Pokemon? Wait, why does it think I'm a Pokemon? Oh my god, I'm a Pokemon. Panic.
Wake up. This is like a meme. Wakes up in the forest. Panic. Pokemon starts walking up to you. Calm. Wait, why can't I understand them? Panic. Looks at me. Panic. Finds out I'm a grass type. Calm. Oh, it's a good meme.
Finds out I'm Chikorita. Panic.
Panic. That's actually really good.
Oh man.
Chikorita's underrated though.
I think I would have a very similar reaction. Like if I actually woke up in a Pokemon body in like the middle of nowhere, I'd freak out. But then if I looked at myself and I was like, wait, I'm a Pokemon, I'd be like, wait, this is actually pretty cool. How do I survive? But beyond that, it'd be pretty cool.
Lol. You may have heard a Grammarly ad because I had
no, I didn't hear
music because the original thing just came up. Okay, so why don't we not do this? It should play. There we go.
Do for a Klondike bar.
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
What would you do for Klondike bar?
I would. Hold on, let me think about this.
I know what I would do.
What would you do?
I'd pay $2.
I was gonna do.
I would pay $2 whole.
I was gonna say, well, first I would, put on some clothes. Then I would go get my debit card, go to the closest ATM, because probably the place that takes it might not take credit. So I'll just in case, right? You want to be sure. I'm gonna get the Klondike bar. Take out like $10 in cash.
My man said I'm gonna take $10 out of the ATM for a whole Klondike bar.
Or multiple. I don't remember how much they cost. And then I just walk down to the grocery and pay the amount of money necessary to buy a Klondike bar, and that's what I would do for a Klondike. Or I just walk up to somebody who's eating a Klondike bar and say, "Hey, you gonna finish that?" But...
In this global pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely not. But
in general?
No.
No, yeah. See, if this was a normal day, I'd
The first thing I'm gonna do when COVID is over is walk outside and just ask random strangers eating if I can have a bite of that.
big idea. What would I do? I'd be an economist. Let's move on to the next question. Let's see here. Ooh, this is an interesting question. This is a question that actually relates to the plot as well. Rachel asks, how long would the sentence be for Ralph had he and Kyle lost the trial?
I don't know. Ask Kane the Trevenant because he would have all the. He knows the law. Yeah.
Yeah, Kane would have been able to decide that. I don't think Kane is here right now, but that would have been interesting. My initial guess, I had an entire different story plot line in mind had you been stuck in the jail. So we haven't used that, and I don't know if we will. But
my man said there's still a chance.
There's still a chance.
He's still a rogue criminal.
Oh no.
You would do something else wrong. We all know it's you, so...
I don't know if there's something else that... I mean, technically, during Arc 2, Ralph may or may not have stolen from a house.
Trespassing on private property, breaking and entering, theft.
Yeah. So the question is whether or not that actually belonged to anybody and if anybody cares. If so, I might have a bounty on my head. But I hope not.
That's true. Because
dude
you left
already
that
has
area.
a bounty on his head.
Well, from the evil people, but I'm talking about
There you go. What more of a bounty do you want? This is enough stress.
But the law, even more so.
I'm not worried about the bad guys, but the law. That's what I'm terrified of.
It's like there's a clip from like from the Batman animated series where like
yes,
Joker's like I might be a criminal, but the IRS, oh no, it's really funny.
No, it's like dealing with Batman, right? Isn't it something along the lines of like I may be crazy enough to deal with Batman, but the IRS, no, thank you, or something.
Exactly. So it's kind
of
like that.
Thank you. Yeah. Such a good show, such a good Joker. Shout out Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill. Love you.
You say that like he's listening.
Who knows, man?
Hello.
You never know.
Mark Hamill, big fan. I am about 1/1,000,000th of the voice actor that you are, but I think I do a slightly below average Joker impression. Let's see. Ginny asks, we've got a couple of questions from Ginny. So Ginny asks, are there no fairy, dragon, etc. items, and why? She's referring to the special items.
Like the legendary items?
Yeah, the legendary items, yes.
Oh,
you tell us, big man.
The simple reason is because I took them directly from the Mystery Dungeon games, and there were only the 7 that were established. For a more detailed explanation, I think 7 is a good number of fetchable quests, I guess, because having one for every single type might be a bit more difficult. So that sums up the.
This podcast would take about 5 years to record if it was one for every type.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at our current rate, it will still take 5 years to record, but.
Mm-hmm. For those of you listening to the stream, by the way, this is the greatest song of all time. Anyway, so so Ginny also asks for Muhammad. Ralph is way higher level than Kyle right now, and the difference seems to be getting bigger. How does Kyle feel about this? And you as a player, I think we touched on this earlier.
We touched on me as a player. As far as Kyle as a character, he doesn't care. Kyle is on a one-track mind. Kyle's like, listen, beat bad guys. If Ralph being higher level helps, great. If Kyle has to get saved by Ralph every now and then, his pride's gonna be a little hurt, but so be it. Yeah. Also, I mean, Kyle intrinsically Kyle himself knows that like he can hold his own most of the time. Anyways, it's not like Kyle feels weak.
Yeah, this is kind of very similar to the question about like the power, like the power, not power levels, the XP levels of both Ralph and Kyle.
I'm sorry, was this a question for you?
Have you seen this is kind of unrelated, but we did that voice, I was reminded of the Simpsons character. Like this is in a Simpsons episode where like they adopt a horse, and then someone says like, actually, the Simpsons already adopted a horse in season 1, episode 9. And then Homer goes, does anybody care what this guy thinks? And everyone goes, no! And then they adopt a horse.
I remember that, yeah. But yeah, no, I think, so Ginny goes on to actually explain, or for the next question, I guess, there's been an interesting look at conflict between Kyle and Ralph this season. which I think we've accidentally had that sort of overlying moral of the story of this arc for each of the arcs that we've had so far. So this one is very much conflict between friends. How was that for each of you? Have you ever played out a longer conflict like this before this? Or in my case, had players do something like that? What made you want to go down this route? What was the thing you least expected about it? So, how did you feel about the whole conflict between friends type of thing that Arc 2 was all about?
This is a very good question. I think it definitely makes the story a lot more interesting. There's a storytelling thing of like, what is it? It's like the way good storytelling is told through conflict, because it puts the characters' like values and morals and actions like into question. When there's conflict, like characters have to figure out like what they stand, right? And so I think having that sort of conflict between Ralph and Kyle, and their sort of like opposing viewpoints of the world sometimes, really does make the story more interesting and allows us to sort of see the lines between them. In terms of how it affected me, like I was like, this is good for the story. But I tend to, whenever I play a character, I tend to be like really like I feel myself like as if I am the character, and sometimes I worry that I'm actually becoming Ralph in real life.
We literally had a conversation about this like in person 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
where
very recently.
Where Mansour was like, "Wow, I'm becoming Ralph," and I was like, "Yeah, you are."
Yeah, and that's mildly concerning. But because of that, because I have like that huge level of empathy for my own characters, like it was kind of emotionally tumultuous for me, having Kyle not speak to me for several episodes at a time. Which, I mean, one could say that's like good acting, but also on the other hand, like it's kind of scary. But yeah, and I think it's great for the story. It's great for both characters to kind of experience that conflict for a little bit. It makes it more interesting. What else? What other parts of the question were there that I might not have answered? I don't remember.
I think the only thing you didn't touch on was, have you ever played like this kind of conflict out over such a long period of time?
No, not over a long period of time. I've definitely because I've done improv before, but like when you do improv, there's a lot of conflict in a lot of scenes, and actually there's a huge part of improv on like how do you navigate conflict in a way that like still makes it seem interesting and not just like people arguing in front of an audience. I guess the longest that I've ever had an extended period of conflict was for an hour long show, but never over the span of multiple episodes and multiple weeks / months, at least not acting wise. So
There's beef that we have not addressed.
There's beef in the real world.
No. I mean, from my point of view, I kind of look at it at a different angle from how Mansour does. Like, yeah, in terms of like storytelling, like conflict is good for storytelling. But for me, like when I'm thinking about like the podcast, like I'm thinking from the point of view of like me as a player and Kyle as a character, and like what do I need to do as a player, or rather like how can I best bring out Kyle's character? Because one of the things I was a little disappointed with at the end of Arc 1 is it felt like Kyle was kind of very static as a character, and this kind of point of tension almost kind of helped flip that in a way of just like, all right, like now we actually kind of get a view into what does Kyle think a little bit, and I mean it does kind of help that I don't get nearly as attached to character. Like I get attached to characters, but like I have a degree of separation from my characters that Mansour doesn't have, which kind of helps when playing the character to really lean into the conflict and really like hit deep. But yeah, also I mean this podcast is the longest campaign, like RPG campaign I've been a part of, so I've never had a conflict out that long. And I mean I think it was really interesting, and I think I mean at the point that we're at right now at the end of Arc 2, the conflict isn't fully resolved, and I think it's interesting. I think it'll be an interesting look as like Arc 3 starts of kind of how we go about kind of addressing that, and kind of working past that. It's a very interesting point, a very interesting kind of thematic element to Arc 2. Plus, it also helps kind of establish Kyle and Ross' relationship because they didn't know each other, and then all of a sudden are off on this grand adventure. So there's bound to be something there, you know? Something's about to happen.
Yep. Stay tuned for
Hello,
Arc 3.
I'm also back. I had to step out for a second, but before we move on, I'd like to thank is it Lychee? Lychee? I don't think I ever learned how to pronounce your name. I do know who Junyi is.
It's
I'd
like
like
the
to thank you
fruit,
both for
right?
following the channel. I'm also gonna make Trico, Machop, and Wigglytuff a little bit bigger because why not? And there we go. Okay, cool. Just for giggles, I suppose. Yes. So Ginny was also asking about had you ever played a longer conflict? From my perspective, no. I think it also is kind of important to mention that this is the first TTRPG experience I've ever had was this podcast. So being the GM for this as well is a lot of firsts for all of that. So
Yeah.
longer conflicts with that, I hadn't really I didn't expect that to happen, though I probably should have, knowing how you guys like to construct your characters and what type of actions you guys like to take. So
I mean, we joked from Arc 0 of if Kyle and Ralph got in a fight, who would win?
yeah, exactly. So I probably should have expected that. So what made you want to go down this road? Again, I leave that up to the characters, how they want to do it. My job is to show off what they can build, what they can see, and their job is to know which way to go about it. What was the thing I least expected about it? I didn't expect it to take as long as it did. Like, I expected conflicts to be a couple episodes, but the fact that it's still technically not resolved, kind of surprising to me, at least.
I'm not gonna lie. I guess this is slight spoiler / foreshadowing, although I kind of already said something along these lines. I was expecting it to last longer. I really was.
Really?
But you won't find out until you start listening to Arc 3, so...
Cough, cough, wink, wink, etc. Let's see. I will have that in a second. Ginny, you came at a perfect time because I have a question that you have asked, which a lot of people have been asking. Whether or not they will get an answer, you'll find out in a second. Their question, is Susie a legendary?
As far
This
as
is
I'm
a theory that
concerned,
has
heck
been
yeah.
going all over the Discord.
Could be Mew. Who knows?
Yeah,
Are there any
the
legendaries
theory
that
that
can,
Susie is a
like,
Mew
change form?
has been...
Mew.
Oh, Mew can change how they look.
Wait, can Mew learn transform? I don't think it can. Can it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe. I don't know then. That's a question for Anirudh, probably. I wouldn't know.
So is
think,
Susie a legendary?
I think y'all as the audience have just given Anirudh a whole new plot point to play with.
My answer for is Susie a legendary? And I have to word this very carefully, because I don't want to hint at anything. So, here's what I'm going to say. Rigel asks, so at the very beginning, it seemed that any choice of guild from both.
That was really good.
I don't know. I've been telling you the guys the entire time. I know who Susie is. I know her character. I know she was born on this day. I have followed Susie's life even more than my own non-existent kids. So, I know the answer to the question. Now, whether or not the answer is what you're looking for is very up in the air. So, there's your answer. Sorry about that. So,
That was
Rigel,
really funny.
Rigel's question is, okay, so at the very beginning, it seemed that you were prepared, you being me, prepared for any choice of guild from both players, even different ones. How much of that was the truth? I couldn't imagine having a story like this with Kyle and Ralph at different ends of the world. So your guys' perspective on that. I don't know if you have a perspective on that.
I will kind of chime in. At the end of Arc 0, when we were choosing guilds, we did have this conversation of, well, what if they choose different guilds? And Anirudh very strongly hinted that we should probably go with the same one to make his life easier.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just when you play a TTRPG as a player, like if the DM hands you a secret, like, you know, a dark secret note that's like has a little blood stain on it with like written in cursive, "Help me," you follow it. So, you know, with the Recruits of the Lost, like we get this, you know, secret letter that's like, you know, now we're getting all these creepy, crazy dreams and all this Recruits of the Lost stuff. Like, it's just good player etiquette to follow that in the story. It would be kind of a mean move to not do that.
I just made very
in my
in-character
in my head there was never an option, basically. But
I made very in-character decisions. I don't know whether you forced Ralph down this route or not.
I'm trying to be as good a player as possible, and I'm trying to make up for the fact that I'm breaking Anirudh's system every single.
That's the
episode.
point of playtesting.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm slowly realizing that the stream is extremely far back. They just got my answer to the Rolls question.
Yes.
Yeah, delay builds
So-
up.
Yeah. You can take whatever you think as you can take whatever you want to believe as what you want to believe. But there is a reason for 95% of the things that have happened to this podcast. I have a reason as to why it exists. Now,
That's good.
the question
That's good
goes
storytelling
into
with
whether or
no
not our
building, all
players
that.
will actually listen to that, but
Yeah.
because there are ways that you can disrupt my thought process. But
Oh, we have.
yep.
And sometimes things
But-
just work out perfectly, even when you don't intend it. This is like a super minor spoiler, but there's a moment in Arc 3 where something like that happens, and it's great, and it's amazing. It just everything kind of just works out. But yeah,
I don't know what exactly you're thinking of, but whatever it is, it was probably planned in advance.
I'll message you privately on Discord. No, it wasn't planned in advance. Let me find our little triple chat. Where is it?
Let's see, where are we?
Yes.
Yes, no, okay, so the choice of guild thing, yes. So I did have an idea of how the story would work if the players were at different guilds. It would have been pretty much very how would I explain it? It would have been very much like two separate campaigns happening at the same time. So if you guys have seen a friend of ours at Two's Company, Jonah's podcast, it's Jonah and Patrick, and they have two different campaigns going at the same time. Those are in completely different worlds, but you can bounce back and forth between the two campaigns. It would have been similar to that, I think. At least is my initial guess. So make of that what you will, I suppose.
Also,
Yep.
Mansour, the thing you brought up in the group chat that you were like minor spoiler. That's not even a plot point. It's literally just a minor detail.
It's
Like,
not
that-
a plot point, but it's a minor detail that was really, really cool. So
Well, it's just a minor detail. That's all it is. Like it's not a plot point. We're talking plot points here. We're talking plot.
What are we
points.
talking about? Sorry.
I sent it in our little like trio Discord chat.
Why didn't you just use our normal group chat? Why?
Oh, yes.
Why are you like this?
Oh, like in Messenger? Oops. Whatever.
Yeah, there's also that one. But
We also probably have a group text somewhere that hasn't been used in about 10 months.
yeah, probably.
yeah.
Ginny, I resent that. Trying to catch your GM off guard is the best. No, I don't like it.
I
Because
agree.
I am the GM. That
I
is-
agree.
Yeah,
I'm
haha.
sorry.
You're not.
When can I repent
And
for
if-
my sin?
If you are sorry, grow a backbone.
The power band is broken. Just leave me alone. I'm trying to be as good a boy as I can.
Let's see. So yes, so I did have an idea as I find music and stuff like that. I did have an idea of how the story would work. It would be very much like solo episode-y, but Arc Zero, of all of the arcs we've done so far, Arc Zero is very much the one that I controlled more of the story in. Because following Arc Zero, I very much let them decide what they want to do when they want to do it. So
I just had
That's-
contingency plans for every single possibility.
yeah, basically. Let's see. Let me add
Next
this.
question.
Toss that in there.
Hey, don't rush the man. It's a stream to run.
I want to get to the next question.
I realize how much easier multiple screens is compared to one screen.
Yeah, it is.
It is rough here, boys. Let's see. Fran, you have a question that I'm not allowed to ask yet. So, Rigel, you have a question I can't ask yet, and Scott, you have a question I shouldn't ask.
Whoa, what? I'm confused.
Long story. Let me check if Stream has any questions.
Are we out of the Discord questions?
Yes. Yeah, we are done with the Discord questions.
Wow. Minus the
Oh.
3.
Minus the 3 that I'm saving for the end. So way back when, Lindsay asked a question, if you could fight any legendary Pokemon, which one would you fight, and which one do you think you could win against?
I gotta look
Which
up
might be
this
the same
link
answer.
there.
Okay. Like Muhammad or Kyle?
You,
That's a good
Muhammad.
question. As a person, like instead of in a boxing match.
Like step in the ring or like out in the field, just like brawling with a legendary Pokemon. I probably could not take any of them because like probably the only ones that I could like take like physically would be like your Mews and your Mesprits, and like they can just teleport. So like, GG.
I just need a list, and I just want to look at all of them. Let's see which of these people look the most weak. Okay, some of these are actually like really like. There's no way I could take on like Stacko Taco. Oh boy. I guess like my answer is I there's no way I could win against any of them. Maybe the one that I could maybe beat in a fight is how do you spell it? How do you say this? Nihiligo? Looks like a jellyfish.
It's funny because its main strategy is taking off its head, throwing it at you, and it blows up.
Oh, so yeah, I'd win. but
if you could get away from it, then yes, you would win.
Yeah, perfect.
My answer is very easy. Cosmog. I got you, bro. Take you out. So Cosmog is a Gen 7 legendary. And it's like the basic level. So in Gen 7, legendaries start to evolve. And Cosmog is the basic form of that, which has like splash and tackle and stuff like that. Yes.
Okay.
Muhammad's faith in Pokemon has been
I'm
destroyed.
leaving. Nope, I'm done.
Muhammad's faith in Pokemon was lost at the introduction of fairy types, which he vehemently opposes the concept of.
The introduction of fairy types, mega evolutions, and Klefki all happened at the same time, and that was when I just said, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
Those were all Gen 6, if I'm not mistaken.
My God, there's a legendary called Buzzwole, and it's just a jacked bug. Sorry. Really weird.
Let's see. I just tossed in, so what everyone's listening to right now is a playlist of 5 hours worth of Pokemon Call music, and there are songs, like the song right now, I've never heard this before. It's very interesting to me. So, while we are here, yes, okay, so I'm gonna get through the stream ones, because there's a couple of them here. So, Fran asks, how much have you enjoyed the listener OCs? So all of the characters named after a listener, so a lot of the people on the boat, a few other characters.
They've been fun. I've enjoyed them.
Most of them are on the boat.
Yeah, but most of them were on the boat, and then we see a couple sprinkled in here and there afterwards. I've enjoyed them. It adds a fun flavor to the mix. It makes life easier for Anirudh. Plus, it's fun hearing his spin on them. I like it.
Yeah, the most fun part about it for me is like when somebody, like when the character's introduced and then I see them in the Discord, I'm like, oh, this wasn't just like a random name Andrew came up with. This is somebody's like submission or somebody's like idea, which is really cool to see. And it's also fun to see like I remember like when Kane would like do his reactions to the episodes, and then he would like when he was reacting to himself as the Trevenant. That's really cool. So I like that.
All right. Let's see. What's next? To me, what's your favorite thing about GMing? World building. That's my favorite aspect of world building. My favorite aspect of GMing is world building. I don't know. I'm thinking and doing 4,000 different things at the same time. But yes. So I really enjoy. Yeah, very much. I really enjoy building. What I really like doing is giving my players options and then seeing what they want to do with that. So I'll say, here's A, B, and C. Which one would you like to do? And then usually I get a response of, let's do D. And then I have to scramble to figure out what to do from there.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's probably my favorite thing about GMing. Because I like... The one thing about D&D that I've always found difficult, and this is coming from a person who technically has never played D&D, so let me point that out there. But the one thing about D&D that I find is that of the few stories that I've heard, a lot of them seem very linear. And that might be because of the fact that a lot of the stories I've listened to come from people following like books and things like that, so the story's already planned out in advance. But I really enjoy the concept of having the players be like, all right, let me control the story, and the GM has to improv his way out of this situation, which the players then have to respond in an improv-y way. So that's very much how this podcast is set up. So
I've never played a like pre-written D&D story, D&D campaign. Never have. Every campaign I've ever done, the GM has pretty much come up with like original, and it's always been fantastic. Like it's a very similar experience to what this is. So
I have played one campaign that was pre-written. It was Horde of the Dragon Queen, which is one of the D&D 5e campaigns, written by Wizards of the Coast, and according to the general D&D community, that is the worst one of all of the pre-written D&D campaigns. And we only got like halfway through when we were all just like, us and the GM were like, this is the worst story and it's so boring. And then we were planning on like turning it into a homebrew campaign, except that it like the groups kind of fell apart because the DM had like DM burnout. So it just died. So that was the least fun experience I've had in a TTRPG, because at first it was cool, and then afterwards it was like, oh, this campaign is basically just run to a camp, kill a bunch of kobolds, go back, run to a different camp, kill a bunch of kobolds, and a cultist. Go back, go to another camp, kill a bunch of kobolds. It was just repetitive and boring, and I very much enjoy it way more when it's like a world that's imagined by the DM GM, just because like it's always fun to see what goes on in someone else's head. So yeah.
We may or may not be having technical difficulties right now, which is kind of like a oof moment, but because like we are live, but we're also like minutes behind. So
I mean,
I don't know.
that bad?
We'll see. I think things are going well enough, at least.
If you also refresh chat, it might just be that your chat is like.
Yeah, if you just refresh the Twitch page, it just could be fine.
Let's see. Refresh that. Yeah, apologies for all of the technical issues. So, there we go. We're back stable. We're stable at least. I don't know if we're caught up yet, but let's see. Where are we? Here. Okay. So Fran asks, because Fran wants to have this recorded. Mansour, why are you so species-ish? Species-ish.
I misinterpreted the rules. Sorry, that's a South Park reference. I don't know. Like in terms of like the only character that I've actually played that is speciesist is the Swampert with the judge.
Well, I disagree. I distinctly remember you hating on them Growliths.
Yeah, no.
Wait, hold on. That's different. Okay.
Look. All I'm saying is speciesism doesn't come up until you bring it up.
True. Ralph. Okay. What I intended with the Growlithe thing was that like Ralph is woke. Ralph realizes that there's a lack of diversity in the police force that needs to change. That was the point of him pointing that out. But for the Swampert, I just wanted him to just be like a really unlikable character at first.
Yeah, but you're the one who brought speciesism into it.
I understand. If it truly makes people feel uncomfortable, I could stop. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh no! Keep it coming. We need to expose how speciesist you actually are.
I think. Okay, this is like slightly. I don't want to say philosophical, but like, I truly imagine that in a realistic like world that is just populated by Pokemon, surely you're going to have people that have stereotypes about like other kinds of Pokemon, right?
There would be typism. There would not be speciesism.
There could be speciesism. There could be all kinds of isms.
Yeah, fair. But also, I mean, it would be mostly type.
Like there's it mostly would be typism, yes, but there's also speciesism, right? Like that's a real like in our world we have racism and we have nationalism is different, but like you get my point, right? Huh?
Ethnicism.
Yeah, there's ethnicism. Like there's all different kinds of isms. Now I think for it, pretending or playing pretend with like playing with these isms in like an imaginary universe in a way where it's clear to everybody that like, hi, this kind of behavior in the real world is not okay. I think that's fine. But it's it is kind of funny. But if people truly do not like it or if are uncomfortable by it, I will not do it. I will say this: I don't think Ralph. I think since that Swampert episode, there has not been a single like speciesist or typist like thing that ever happened.
Can we check the tape on that?
That's a lot of tape, though.
It's a lot of tape, but I don't think that's ever happened.
I'm not entirely sure. How many? We established right before this. How many episodes into Arc 3 are we done recording?
Well,
8, right?
Like 7 or 8.
We are
think,
8
right?
episodes in.
8. Okay, so anytime between now and Arc 3 Episode 8, if Mansour brings up speciesism at all, y'all know what to do.
Call me out.
Yep. Okay. Let's do. So Ginny asks a question in the chat, asking Mansour and Muhammad, what are your favorite parts of playing?
Me being
also, Fran does
Muhammad's
point out
personal
that
punching bag.
Fran does point out that you did blame the Zangoose character because its like look was different.
Oh.
That was
Right.
before the Swampert though. We have to add that little. We have to add that clarification. His claim is since the Swampert.
I looked at a picture of Zangoose and was like, of course he's the criminal. Just look at him, which is the worst thing you could possibly say. Okay, but for
It-
like
with-
from a
with the-
design stand, but look at him.
Oh,
Like,
I'm
sorry.
not speechless, but just look at the guy.
Look at. I don't mean specifically your Zangoose friend, but if you just look up a picture of Zangoose, he looks like he just looks like a criminal. He looks shady. I'm sorry. But
This ain't a
I
great
apologize.
look, man.
I know I'm really not helping my case over here.
You've dug yourself into. That's the second hole you've dug yourself further into this episode.
I know.
today.
I know.
The question
Okay.
is, are we gonna run out of chat questions before he can hit the trifecta, get a hat trick of holes dug?
All my deepest, darkest
We will see.
secrets are gonna be revealed to the world.
So let's go to Twitter for a few questions because we did get questions on Twitter. So on Twitter, Wintertime Romarian, I believe this is Lindsay actually. If you could befriend any shiny Pokemon, what Pokemon would it be?
Ooh, all the shinies.
Because that is a thing that hasn't come up in story and may or may not exist of shiny Pokemon, with the exception of the multicolored Kecleons that are spread out across the world.
But those aren't shiny.
Those are technically not shiny, yes.
See, I don't have images in my head of too many shiny Pokemon. However,
Yeah, that's a big thing that
meeting a
kinda-
shiny Swablu or Altaria on this journey would be sick.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Now, here's a fun thing about a shiny Swablu or an Altaria. Let's say they have like they're one of the baddies and they have one of the gold rings on like their head. You wouldn't be able to tell.
It's the perfect crime.
Oh boy.
I gave on. The problem is I keep giving him these ideas, and then later on, these ideas have to bite us in the butt, and I'm gonna be like, "Oof, why did I do that?"
I think shiny Swampert just looks super cool. Like I love the purple and like golden color scheme, so I'd probably go with that. They just look cool. That's it.
Cool. I know they're in the chat. Is it again? I think it's Lychee, maybe. Ask a question that actually pretty solid question. Why doesn't Adam set up a better connection to the Mind Palace?
Thank you. Someone's asking the important questions here.
Yeah, person.
Get
who
a
plays
get a
Adam.
Wi-Fi upgrade. Jeez.
There is a reason for this in game of why a lot of the time there's disadvantages. If you were to go back through all the episodes and every time they went through the Mind Palace, I think you'd be able to see when they have to roll disadvantage versus when they don't. So because of that, I will not answer the question. But there is a reason why the Mind Palace is.
Am I allowed to conjure up a thought that I'm pretty sure is the right answer?
You can. I may or may not have actually confirmed this in an episode, but
try not to use Arc 3 spoilers.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, in general, like, I mean, this is kind of my observation as the player. When we do it at a time that, like, we're not entirely supposed to, disadvantage. When we do it at a time that, like, oh yeah, like, we clearly need to go here for XYZ reason, cool, go for it.
So while that's sort of true, there is an in-world reason as to why disadvantages are rolled and advantages are rolled that I follow like 95% of the time.
Interesting.
So
Can't wait to
again,
find
it's
out.
one of those things that probably isn't going to be important until it becomes extremely important, but it's one of those laws that's established.
I look
early on.
forward to getting very frustrated by this in-world reason at some point when we find it out. Because we're not going to find it out and roll advantage to get in. We're going to find it out, roll disadvantage, and be mad.
Be like, ah, shucks. Ginny has tossed out in regards to the shiny Pokemon question. Shiny Mew and it's Susie. As you can befriend any shiny Pokemon.
boy.
When a shiny Mew uses transform, does it turn into the shiny version of Pokemon?
I do not believe it does.
I
I think it turns
believe-
into a copy of the...
Yeah. Whenever a Pokemon uses transform, it just turns into whatever it's
The
transforming
base
into.
form.
So, well, no. Like, if you use transform against a shiny, you look shiny.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think. I could
Yeah.
be wrong.
So there is a chance. Here, I'll toss this out for you guys. There is a chance that Susie is a shiny Mew.
Oh, you've only
Sounds
gone
good.
and done it.
The chance.
Look, I enjoy this. I enjoy this little game with the common mortals and stuff.
Yeah, shiny the
Um,
shiny Ralts line does look really cool too. Like the like,
I enjoy that line, yeah. Let's see. Let me move that there. Go there. All right. So the final set of questions before, unless the final set of questions, unless the chat has questions, and until we get to the 3 that I've pushed off to the end. All of them come from Pokemon Crossroads, which is a news location that you can get Pokemon content and information about tabletop stuff. Good friends of ours. We recommend checking them out. This isn't a sponsor or anything. It's a very nice, concise website, so recommend it.
It's like John Oliver with DeWalt Tools. Not sponsored.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a big fan.
I'm not a sponsor. I'm just a fan. So they've asked a few questions, and we will go down the list of them. So one of them is actually asked earlier. I think Ginny may have asked this in the chat earlier, which is why I didn't answer it, or something along those lines. What is one thing you guys wish you could have done earlier in the campaign? So here, I'm going to toss a time machine. You can go back and change a decision that you made in the campaign so far. What decision is that?
That's a good one.
What decision would I make differently?
It's not so much like a specific decision, but and I mean, granted, this very much changes the nature of the show, but I think it probably would have been only to our advantage if I had focused on trying to get Kyle like stronger, like level wise and experience wise, and really push for, hey, could we get experience for this thing or that thing or the other thing a lot more early on.
So your answer isn't, I wish I was nicer to Ralph?
No, no, of course not.
I'm kidding.
No, Kyle had it coming.
No, in
Ralph
fact,
had
I
it coming.
probably should have been meaner.
Oh, you're doing it too now.
Make it meaner.
Hey. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the first time on the record I have mixed up names.
Yeah,
It is, we have been streaming for over 2 hours. I haven't had lunch yet. It took a lot to get me to make that mistake. You do it on the regular. Don't talk to me.
Okay. All right. Okay. I don't know if there's anything I would have done differently. Maybe like maybe I would have said less things that would get Ralph in trouble. Like I feel like I understand. I literally just said conflict is good for storytelling, but like maybe not being as much of an annoying little prick and annoying Kyle all the time. Like maybe just toning it down like slightly, but no, other than that I wouldn't change anything. Like I think the story is as good as it is right now, so I'm very happy with it. I wouldn't change anything. It's very cliche, but I wouldn't change a thing. If I could do it all over again, I would.
Is there anything I could have done?
Given us
I think
more
the
experience.
Give out more. No, I should have given out less experience. Why are you guys? You shouldn't even be double digit yet. Gosh. Let me think. I think timing. Arc 3 does a pretty solid job when it comes to how days go by and keeping track of that, which I did not do very well in Arc 1 and Arc 2. So I think probably just keeping track of things more. If I knew about all of the things we would try to do by this point, I would have kept track of them earlier on. So like the history book and episodes of like raw stuff and things like that. Just a bunch of data related things I probably would have tried to do. So there you go. The next question was the destruction of the power band a way to nerf Ralph?
Yes.
Yes.
Very
much yes.
100%.
Absolutely.
He knew what he was
112%. Look, this was a thing that regardless of if whatever decision Ralph made, at the end of the day, his power band was going to be gone. I was locked into that decision. One of the very few instances where I will, as overseer of this world, impact the story dramatically. Because Ralph with the power band was taking out people at level 30 and 50 easily, and I'm like, that's too much.
That's too much. Yep.
That's too much. You're supposed to struggle for the win, not get the win.
It was difficult. It was difficult when it first happened to me, but I have since accepted the fact and recognized that it is for the greater good that Ralph doesn't have the power band anymore. And he's still fine. Like he's not.
He's still a very strong Pokemon.
You were spoiled.
I was.
You as a player and Ralph as a character have been spoiled throughout the series.
Well, sue me. Wait, they did. Anyway.
So the next question, going slightly out of order, but it's the same thing at the end of the day. Will Ralph ever go to prison?
That depends on what I do next.
I
imagine if I were to bust into a guild hall and just start like slapping people, then yeah, I would go to jail. But
this This is totally gonna happen in Arc 5, and I'm gonna have to deal with the ramifications, and I will have been too old and too tired to deal with it by the time we record that.
Uh,
I'm already
um,
aging as it is.
yeah. Next question goes to Kyle. Will Kyle finally be able to gain experience?
I don't know. Will he? To be fair, remind me at the end of Arc 2 what the level gap is.
Ooh,
12 to 10, right?
I think it was. You guys know because it's been a while since we've seen at the end of Arc 2,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
believe it was 12-10.
I don't
Or
think the
something around
level gap has grown, which is a good sign. That being said, and this kind of ties back to an earlier question, I wish when the level gap first appeared, I had pushed for, hey, because Kyle is lower experience, we should calculate Kyle's experience with Kyle's level and Ralph's experience with Ralph's level to help for that catch up. But so be it.
Cool. So Pokemon Crossroads final question. What are some things you're looking forward to? And this is going to kind of wind down the overall Q&A episode. So what are things you're looking forward to over Arc 3, the status of the podcast in the real world, etc.?
Ooh, good question.
Arc 3, well, one, a lot of the issues we felt we had with Arc 0 through 2, we, like, I mean, Anirudh gets all the credit for this. We've done a really good job of addressing through Arc 3 so far. The pacing has been great. We're picking up plot lines and, like, really moving the story along, while still, like, keeping that slow burn where it kind of fits. That's been really awesome. It's good. Y'all are gonna really enjoy that, I hope. Arc 3 is building to some really wild conclusion that we don't know yet, but should be really exciting.
It's building up.
Yeah, no. Arc 3 is great. We just launched the Patreon, and I know Anirudh has a lot of ideas for stuff he wants to do, and that could help him get that off the ground.
I have too many ideas.
I really want to redesign our logo. I want to commission art for that. Just me personally.
Yeah, our logo, while it's very great, it's also very Microsoft Paint because I use Microsoft Paint. Yeah, it's very self-explanatory, but
yeah. And then I mentioned this in our little New Year's thank you message, but a few months from now, I'll have a lot more time to dedicate to this show and this community and this system, and really start, like, making things happen.
Because he's gonna escape the chains of the U.S. educational system.
Yes, once and for all. So that should be fun.
For me, I really want to do more live events. I like these Q&A things are so fun, and I want to do more stuff like with the community, like streams, or I don't know, there's a bunch of ideas that I have. Like if people could submit, like, I don't know, say this line as Ralph or say this line as Kyle or whatever. Like doing little like improv bits would be fun. Playing if we were like playing a video game together and like people could tune in and watch, that would be cool. Like I just want to engage with the community more, not gonna lie. But alas, I am still in the shackles of the U.S. educational system, so I don't have as much time as I would like. But I'm doing my best. But yeah, that's like the biggest thing I want. I want more community engagement. But I'm also really happy with where like Arc 3 is going. I agree. I think the pacing is great. I think the story is getting a lot more interesting. Like the world is opening up a lot more. It's just a fun time. We meet new characters and stuff, more plot development. It's and as Mohammed mentioned before, it's building up to something. I don't know what yet, but it's building up to something. So that's how I feel.
Okay. Maybe this helps. So okay,
so I want to get by the end of 2021. I want a new logo. That's just me, but I want a new logo.
Basic goals. Okay. Maybe the stream is going better now because the quality is probably but at least my computer is not yelling at me anymore. Okay, cool. Where are we?
We just answered.
Yeah, some things you're looking forward to. Yes. Okay, so let us go into the stream questions that have shown up in the past few minutes.
There was one that Fran asked that I don't think we answered. It was like a while ago.
Yes.
I remembered it.
Let's see here. Okay, so I think, and let me know if I'm missing any of the questions, people in the chat, once you catch up to this point. But Fran asked, after the Executor fight and the government fight, how balanced is low sweep / low kick looking?
Low kick
That's
is
hard
already
to
kind of
fix.
like, it's kind of like an underdog type move, right? Like, it's because when you're fighting like a massive Pokemon, you just have an advantage. You can just deal way more damage to it. Low sweep isn't. I don't think low sweep is too bad because it deals. Spoiled little brat. It deals more damage than like most other moves. But and the only like special effect it has is I think it like lowers their speed. I think, which isn't. Revenge I think is a little bit more OP, just because like it deals more damage if you've been hit. I think the thing is Ralph's whole like build is set up around like if you hit him, he hits back 10 times harder. Like his passive ability is guts, right? If he has a status condition, his attack goes up. Like it's just how it is. So that's kind of the difficult thing is his character is very much based around like counterplay. I think.
The only thing left for Ralph to do is actually learn counter.
Oh yeah. It'll happen soon enough.
Ralph with counter. Oh no.
Yeah, he has a move called Revenge.
That'd be terrifying.
That deals more damage if you've dealt damage to him.
It's okay. Ralph will never learn Mirror Coat. Kyle is safe.
Yeah.
Cool. The next question isn't really a question. It's just from Ginny. Ginny has confirmed her theory, or she believes she's confirmed her theory that Susie is a shiny Mew because Nightbot is censoring her. So
I hope we get answers soon.
We're not going to get answers to that one for a long time.
Who knows? That might not be a question to begin with. Let's see. We are done with that, at least so I can close this. So Rigel asks, how is the lore guide going, which is the history book, and how are you feeling about it? Before, it wasn't really going much at all, to be honest. I didn't put much effort into it earlier on. So now, though, there's a lot more time and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to put more effort into it. So I actually just put in the Discord, and I'm probably going to put more effort into it. So that's going to get going, probably starting with Arc Zero. There's a few summary episodes that I'm slowly building that'll help out as well. So
that's another one of the projects that I will be contributing to beginning in like May or June.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things that's like a big assignment at the beginning, and then once we get caught up, it'll be significantly easier. Yeah.
History book. I am the history book. At least right now.
We'll see how next week's session goes.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
So that's that. Will there be a map included? I will tell you guys now. This isn't a spoiler, but you guys will have access to the world map around a third of the way through Arc 3. Only because it makes sense for where the characters are and everything like that. It also helps because I can build in some of the cities that they haven't traveled to and haven't been named yet, but exist. So
just
that
a
is
few more
available.
weeks, y'all.
Just a few weeks, and I'll have a map that's like decently built enough to the point where everyone could see it and see all the cool stuffs. Ginny asks, "Are you working on ways to make the gap smaller?" I'm assuming that's between you two. Mm-hmm. Without spoiling too much, are we able to spoil in regards to this? The gap. I have found solutions that make the gap easier to deal with.
Yeah. I was gonna say like we have addressed it in Arc 3, and that's as far as I'm gonna say.
I mean, we haven't really addressed the level gap per se, but we've done some stat balancing that you'll hear about before, like at the start of Arc 3, Episode 1.
Mm-hmm. So there are things in there that are built so that while Ralph is technically stronger than Kyle in terms of statistics, they're roughly on par with each other now. So, yep. I believe, actually... Oh, I don't know why I closed this. I believe we are wrapped up with the questions.
Well, there are the 3 left, right?
There are the 3 left, yes.
It's the final! And that's as much as I can do before he gets home.
Yeah. To answer Ginny's question that just popped up in the chat, but again, probably won't be heard for minutes. I actually don't know how much of a delay there is, but play Among Us with us guys again. Yeah, we could do that, especially when that new map comes out. I think it's supposed to come out sometime in the near future.
I feel like that's been being said for weeks or months. I don't know.
Their expected date, I think, was February, so...
Oh, okay. Cool.
But I'm not 100% sure if that's still the case. I know last time I remember it was like February that they expected to release it. So, let's see. So, let's go to our 3 questions here. This is sort of a summary thing. Rigel asks, "What question did you not expect to be asked, but actually was?"
I didn't expect the species' question to be asked.
You should
I
have
thought
seen
it
that
was
one
just
coming.
like, oh, haha, it's okay. We're not gonna talk about this, but I was impressed.
yeah, cool.
I don't know if there's any questions that particularly caught me off guard.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a fair question.
Y'all haven't stumped me yet.
Scott asks, "What question do you wish we never ask?" And then answer it.
Let me think about that. Never. I hope you guys never ask what deodorant I wear. And my answer to that is Old Spice Fiji.
That was very random.
Well, yeah.
It makes sense also, but
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I was kind of stalling a little bit to see if Mansour would dig himself into his third hole there, but I guess not.
Look at your Pokemon. Now look at me. Now look at your Pokemon. Now look at me. Sorry.
Question to never ask. I'm trying to think in context of the show. Anirudh, can you take this and come back to me? I have nothing right now. I'm blanking.
Well, the easy question would be, so, whatever you do, don't ask me what Susie's role is in this world.
Then answer it.
Well, now you have to answer it.
Yeah, I know. Susie is the Deus Ex Machina of this world.
That literally answers nothing. We all
Exactly.
knew that.
There you go. That is an answer to the question.
It should have been like, Susie is a Ralts, and she is
Her job
Atlas's
is to
little
be a
sister.
Ralts.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Oh, I can think of a few things actually.
Here.
What question do you wish we never ask?
Hit me with a question that you know I wouldn't want to answer about the show, because I'm curious what you have.
Oh, for you?
Yeah.
So a question that we think you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to answer about the show?
Yeah.
What is your least favorite thing about the other two people?
Oh God. Okay, there it is.
He starts listing out 14 different things. Like, well, first
Oh
of all,
man,
there's
sorry,
this,
this
and then...
kid has gotten on my nerves. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna point out two things that are both blessings and curses that I absolutely love and I absolutely hate at the same time.
Okay.
Mansour gets really invested in his character, which is great because it makes playing playing the game with him really easy because it flows really naturally. It's really annoying when he gets so invested in his character that he just starts really getting super emotional. I'm like, dude, it's not that deep. Don't worry. I don't hate you. Kyle hates Ralph. There's a difference.
You know the video that's like, it's only game. Why you have to be mad?
Yep.
Exactly
literally me.
Yeah.
And then in terms of honor, he's super cryptic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
well,
that's
I agree
very
with
true.
this.
It's great because as players you don't want to have all the information, but it's awful because as players you want to have all the information.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes that crypticness just really gets on my nerves, but at the same time he does what he has to do.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
definitely.
also going to answer the question. I agree with Muhammad's part for Anirudh. I think my least favorite, this is a blessing and a curse, is Muhammad sometimes uses me as his own personal punching bag. Which is funny. Which is not physically, but
Collect.
Wait, actually?
No, I mean
Does it
the
come off that way?
jokes. Huh?
Does it come off that way actually?
Sometimes,
Oh
the
no,
little
I'm sorry.
dig. No, it's fine. No, but the little digs and stuff, it's funny and whatnot. But sometimes I'm like, is this Kyle speaking or is this Muhammad speaking? I can't tell. It's kind of just the inverse of what you just talked about. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I know exactly what you. I know exactly what you're saying.
And I have to remind myself, it's only game. Why you have to be mad?
He's only.
I love that.
All right, guys.
So
all three of us will now lie down on the therapy chairs, and we'll each stand up and take turns.
I see the Trico in my dreams, and he says I'm not good enough.
I don't like when you do X. It makes me feel Y.
Let's use our I feel statements.
Yeah. I don't know if we answered the question. We just kind of went on a therapy tangent, but
We did answer the question.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. And then the final question, because I believe we have caught up to everything. There doesn't seem to be any more questions in the chat, so let me just text that into the chat real quick.
Okay, no more
Okay.
questions. Goodbye.
Okay, bye. Ends call immediately. So I'm gonna ask this, even though there may or may not be questions. Fran asks the question that Fran asks all the time. What is a question you are shocked or surprised hasn't been asked yet?
What deodorant do you wear? I'm kidding.
That's been asked. You asked
if
that
it-
to yourself.
I
Yeah.
asked it to myself. Yes. Shocked or surprised hasn't been asked yet. This is a really good question that
I mean, I have to think back to the Arc 1 Q&A. too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm surprised no one's asked me about like, because there was a question about like video games, which is cool, but no one's asked me about like movies or books or like food or other personal interests that extend beyond Pokemon. But also, you know, we are a Pokemon TTRPG podcast, so naturally all the questions are gonna be of that variety. But no one's been like, hey, Mansour, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite animated trilogy? Kung Fu Panda. But you know, I don't know.
I love how you're like, hey, no one's asked me this. I'm gonna answer anyway, even though none of you asked.
Yeah.
Um, I'm surprised that more of Kyle's choices have not been questioned.
Yeah. Why are you so mean to Ralph all the time?
I think that was like vaguely asked at some points, and like especially this past arc it was asked, but like I'm surprised like some of Kyle's decision making and like his specific decisions haven't come under more scrutiny. That being said, I am not at all complaining that I'm not being scrutinized for every decision I make. So
Yeah. What's a question I'm shocked or surprised hasn't been asked yet?
I love Ginny's chat comment. Old Spice, I'm on a Rapidash. I love that. Someone should make an Old Spice commercial with like a Machamp on a Rapidash, just like, ladies, look at your Pokemon, now look at me. Now look at your Pokemon, now look at me. I'm on a Rapidash. That's so good.
Let me think. I actually have no idea. I'm shocked or surprised it hasn't been asked yet. I've more been shocked about the like obsession with Susie. That's more of just a general thing. I'm surprised Susie has become as big of a character as she has, but that's fun. I actually remembered a question that was asked earlier, but I
I
forgot
remember
who
a question
asked it.
that Fran asked that we didn't answer, but I'll wait for you to finish.
Oh, that might be what's the question? Because that might be the question I'm thinking of right now.
The letters to Snow. There's been an absence of
Yes,
them.
that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, no one's asked about Snow in a hot minute.
Yeah.
There was a question earlier that I skipped accidentally. Ralph hasn't been sending many letters to Snow, or Snow hasn't been sending many letters to Ralph. How does Ralph feel about this?
I think we touched
Are you
on this in Arc 3.
We do touch
We
on
do
this
touch
in
on
Arc
this in
3.
Arc 3.
And currently, as of right now, like where we are recording, it hasn't been fully resolved. That's all I can really say about that without spoiling anything.
I cannot disclose any more information. This is an ongoing investigation.
Yeah, we're not done with that. But yes, there has been a shortage of letters being sent since like the middle of Arc 2, primarily just because like Ralph and Kyle have been dealing with like much bigger fish to fry, and there also just haven't been like around the Boulder Stars like since the middle of Arc 2, right? So he hasn't had much time to write anything, and he hasn't had time to check his mail either. So that's like the as far as the viewers or listeners know right now, like that is the reason as to why there hasn't been much, because physically there's no capability to write or receive mail for like half of this arc. So
I mean, that's not entirely.
and I mean, with
true.
the ending of Arc 2, now they're in an ice world, like in the middle of nowhere. So the problem doesn't get any better.
Right. Let me think. I think. Let's see. What's a plot point that's happened? Okay, I'm surprised that nobody has asked about the consequences of stealing from the house, and whether or not that will become
I mean,
a thing.
I'm still questioning that. I don't know what. I really have a feeling that it's gonna be one of those things that happens in TTRPGs, but also like in regular video games, where like you randomly walk into a house and you take something, and if you do, then like several hours down the line in gameplay, like a character shows up and it's like, you remember that house you stole from? That was my house, and they become like a big evil boss or something. It's kind of like in what's
Yeah.
it called in like Undertale, right? There's minor spoilers for Undertale, but like at the beginning of the game, there's like a spider bake sale, and it's like a little bit pricey for how much money you have at the beginning of the game. Um, and if you don't buy from it, then later on towards the end of the game, there's a boss called Muffet, and she's like, you hate spiders because you didn't buy from the spider bake sale, so I'm gonna destroy you. And that's like and if you actually end up buying from the bake sale at the beginning of the game, and I think if you eat something that you bought from the bake sale in front of her, then she's like, oh wait, you're fine, you may pass. Like, yeah, so it could be. I have a feeling the house that I stole from is gonna be that kind of situation, but who knows?
Yeah,
When
maybe.
that
We'll see.
happens, I'm not gonna say I told you so.
you're not gonna come to help me.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Because it doesn't seem like there are any questions of the chat. Now, chat is, I believe, 6 minutes behind where we are right now or something. Not 100% sure about that, but
I just
I don't
refreshed
know how
my
big
page.
the-
I can check the Twitch stream.
because the time clock isn't updating. But let me see what the conversation's about.
Right now, the stream is on Kyle's decision making, so yeah, it is a little bit behind.
Not much. Not much.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the chat, the part I'm using right now is talking about your favorite animated movie and stuff like that.
Yes.
That might be like years behind. Toss that out the one. Refresh it. Twitch, me. Yes, I'm streaming.
This is why I liked using Discord.
Actually,
last
you know what a
time.
question? This is another. You know what a question that I'm surprised hasn't been asked, because this gets asked from pretty much every content creator out there. It's always like what software do you use? What mic should I get? Like that.
Oh,
You know what
okay,
I'm talking
yeah.
about? Like for
I see
animated
what you
channels,
mean.
always like,
Cons-
what do you use?
okay,
Flash?
okay,
Do you like?
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
What
okay.
drawing tablet should I get? That
Hey,
sort of.
I fully understand where that question is coming from. Keep in mind how my mic sounded for a good chunk of Arc 2. I don't think
That's
anyone
true.
is asking for that.
That's true. And for Arc Zero, I sounded like I was patching in from Europa. So, the moon of Jupiter, not the continent of Europe.
I thought you just forgot how to say Eurasia.
Yeah.
I wasn't even.
Stupid.
I wasn't even thinking about the solar system.
Oh my god. Anyway, is Europa? I think it's a moon of Jupiter, right? It has
Yes,
to be.
it is. It is.
Yes. Okay. I play Warframe. I know the moons of Jupiter. But anyway, the what's it called? Yeah, like that. I'm surprised that hasn't been asked at some point. Like, but also we are planning on getting better mics anyway soon. So, to make the quality of voice a little bit better. But I'm surprised no one's asked that. Like, what editing
Mhm.
software do you use, or where do you get your sound effects from? Or
Also,
all that
we've
stuff.
definitely answered that.
We probably have, but
I mean, it's like the big one is Zencaster here.
Yeah, Anirudh's given the rundown of like the basic editing process too, like Audacity and I think you still use HitFilm. Well,
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
in the Arc 1 Q&A, I believe.
oh, it might
Yep,
have
yep.
been. Yeah, I'll let when we get new mics, I'll let you guys know what kind of mic it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my voice will
Um,
sound so crisp and lovely.
Yeah. Let me just...
As of right now,
Hi,
I
how
can't
are you
play it
doing?
at
Welcome back to more of Not a Scratch, the only podcast that believes that Scratch is a super powerful move. I didn't say that properly. but-
look at your Pokemon. Now look at me. Look at your Pokemon. Now look at me. It's only game. Well, you have to be met.
But yeah, I think that's going to
I
wrap
am
this up.
surrounded by idiots.
Unless Muhammad has any comments here, but I think we're gonna wrap it up here. What a good 2 hours and 24 minutes that I think is at 2 hours and 18 or something when you guys are wherever they are.
We usually book 3 hours for recording anyway, so this is like perfect
Yeah.
timing.
So that will wrap up this Q&A episode that is probably going to be significantly shorter once I edit it down. Thank you very much for checking it out. If you're listening to this on a podcast, hi, thank you. If you're listening to this live on Twitch, hi, thank you. I may or may not be streaming in the future, depending, of course, on A, if I have time, B, I know what I'm doing, and C, if my delay is less than 45 hours. But I think that wraps it up, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about.
Thanks for tuning in. I don't
Yes.
really have much else to talk about.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, no,
Surprise.
I have nothing else to add. Thank you all for
Thanks.
listening. Thank you all for
Join our
sticking with
Patreon
us.
if you want to support us even more. That's kind of it.
Get excited for Arc 3. It's a doozy.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
So
a
this is an
good
announcement
art.
as well. I should probably point that out. That the plot part of the show is on a sort of hiatus as I fill in the next week or two. I'm not sure how. It depends on how much time I have to edit and stuff like that with summary episodes and other sorts of things like that. So for people that haven't caught on to the show yet and want to have an easier way of catching up, I'm planning stuff for that. So, and then there's a Q&A episode as well. So the plot probably won't be coming out for a week or two. Apologies for that if you're dying for Arc 3 episode 1. You could, if you wanted to, join the Patreon. I forget what tier it is, but there is a tier that gets 2 episodes early. If somebody joins that tier, then I will start to send out episodes early. Again, not mandatory in any way, shape, or form. The fact that you're listening to the show is more than enough.
If you want plot leaks, I can be bribed.
Muhammad can be bribed for plot leaks.
If you want us to get better mics and a new logo, please join the Patreon. Those are like the 2 main priorities for me.
Again, it's all up to you guys. You feel free to make whatever decisions you want. At the end of the day, it's your money, and we are just humble people trying to tell the story of the 3 characters you see on the screen. Although I don't know why the Wigglytuff is there. I guess
wait.
Yeah.
Spoiler: the Wigglytuff is the big main evil villain.
Guys, spoiler: I'm a Wigglytuff. I'm not, but that is my personification apparently. Anyway,
No, it's like the
That'd be
evil dude with
hilarious.
the scary voice. It's just a Wigglytuff. It'd be adorable.
that'd be hilarious.
I have comments about this memery that I cannot make on stream because they are spoilers.
Watch Anirudh would be like, yeah, that would be really weird, right? Oh no.
That'd be funny, guys.
No. This is
Tap,
really
tap, tap,
funny
tap.
because I'm pretty sure there's a fact from Arc 3 that we've already covered that me and Anirudh both are cognizant of that Mansour is completely forgetting right now.
Oh. I can't remember anything right now.
It's even funnier because he's making jokes and I'm just sitting here like, that may or may not be a spoiler.
Anyway, thank you very much for listening. We hope that you have enjoyed. I'm going to end the recording part of the podcast, but the stream itself will be ending in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much for watching and supporting the Not a Scratch Show. I don't know why I switched up to the YouTube channel outro, because that's not correct. Thank you very much for listening. We hope that you've enjoyed. I have been your PM, your DM, your GM, Andrew himself.
And I've been Mansour playing Ralph. That's the worst outro I've ever done.
And I've been Muhammad answering questions about Kyle.
And until next time, everyone, take care.